NASCAR Nextel Cup Series racing from Michigan. Hi, everybody. Bill Weber along with Wally Dallenbach and Kyle Petty. Thanks for having us in for the race. And once again, from our family to yours, happy Father's Day. There are 43 stories on the starting grid. Let's take two of them. First of all, the veteran, Tony Stewart, starting at the back in a car that got banged up late in happy hour.
Should be pretty exciting to watch because he won't be at the back for very long. Yesterday in practice, in the final practice, he was on new tires. Gilliland was on old tires in the 38. And it's just a little bit of a miscommunication on where they should be in real estate. And what it did was it tore the right front fender off of Tony Stewart's car. Now, aerodynamics is very important at this racetrack, and these guys hopefully did a really good job repairing that fender because it's so important, and they're so good at it. They spend so much time at the shop getting these things ready for aerodynamics at this racetrack that something like that could put you back. But they've done this before, and it should be pretty exciting, like I said, to watch him come from the back to the front.
Okay, here's the other side of the story. His teammate, J.J. Yaley, on the pole for the first time, really looking to make a statement in Nextel Cup.
Definitely looking to make a statement. A couple of weeks ago at Charlotte, had the best run that he had ever had. Then he comes up here and he sits on the pole. They did an interview with him yesterday. Watching that interview, he was so relaxed. It was just like, I'm J.J. Yaley, I'm secure in my job. And the Gibbs organization had told him, hey, we may talk to Junior. So to be able to come out and sit on the pole, to have the best finish of his career so far, I'm telling you, he's looking more secure every week.
Now imagine that Junior's name came up in this conversation. It has been a wild week for him. He'd like to turn it all behind him and just race today.
He really would, but and that's pretty funny because there's a lot of other drivers, probably 42 other guys that are breathing a sigh of relief. But yeah, the best thing for him is get in that race car and drive because that's when you're least distracted. They're hitting him from all angles, and trust me, he's looking forward to getting that race car next year. In his interview, he was so relaxed. He was so happy to have that monkey off his shoulder and know where he's going.
It's going to be a lot of fun today. A smooth, wide-open racetrack and 43 stars ready to chase the checkers. Let's go trackside and get the command.
And now, race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Here's your Grand Marshal, Bill Hartman.
On behalf of Citizens Bank, gentlemen, start your engines.
Father's Day at the racetrack and 43 men trying to finish the day in victory lane. More from Michigan when we continue. Cars slowly beginning to roll off of pit road. And J.J. Yaley will take them to the green flag. He won the Budweiser Pole Award here on Friday by 1/1000th of a second. His first career pole. He'll be in the Budweiser shootout when we all get to Daytona in February. Here's a look at the starting grid for today's 400-mile race at Michigan. J.J. Yaley and defending series champion Jimmy Johnson on the front row.
Row 2 on the inside, Kyle Busch and Ryan Newman in the 12 car on the outside, trying to turn things around this year.
Row 3, Jeff Gordon, new teammate announced this week, and obviously, and Joe Nemechek.
Back in row 4, you'll find Denny Hamlin looking for a win this season, and Martin Truex Jr., who is hot.
In row 5 on the inside, Jeff Burton in the 31 car. On the outside, driving for Roger Penske, Kurt Busch in the 2.
Row 6, Clint Boyer and Carl Edwards.
Back in row 7, we'll find Casey Mears and Greg Biffle, who's had a lot of success at this track. You take a look at the rest of the starting grid, and which one of you guys is going to jump on the radio there?
I want to see if I can get a hold of Mr. Biffle. Hey, Greg, this is Wally up in the booth. Do you hear me?
Gotcha.
Hey, man, seems like it's been a couple of tough races for you, and I was watching in practice yesterday. It looks like you guys were really struggling trying to get some grip in that car. Do you think you guys got something figured out?
Yeah, we sure do, Wally. The dish network fusion got really good at the end of the second practice when that's the most similar conditions we're in now. We finally got it working really good. Greg and all the guys did a great job with the car, and we got to handle it good. I'm real optimistic that this thing's going to go to the front today, and I don't know if we can win or not, but we definitely got a top 5 car right here, I think.
Well, we know you can do it, that's for sure, and we know how much you like a loose race car. That's really how you have to start this race, isn't it?
I lost it a little bit there, Wally. thought said something about I like a loose race car. I'm not sure, but I don't know if you can hear me, but you know, it was just no rear grip yesterday. Really, really struggled, and you know, the sun's going to be a big factor today of what happens, definitely. So let's wait and see.
All right, Greg, thanks a lot, and good luck today.
Thank you.
Greg Biffle, just one of the 43 stars of NASCAR, ready for 400 miles at Michigan. Lots of stories from pit road. Let's go down and get some of them. Ladies first, Lindsay Zarniak.
Carl Edwards is celebrating an anniversary of his own, his 100th start in the Nextel Cup Series. He got his first start right at this very track back here at Michigan. Carl's car's been fast all weekend long. He starts 12th, but he feels like he can get it good enough to get his first win of the season. To Ralph Shaheen.
Well, Matt Kenseth is California dreaming. He is the only non-Chevy driver to get a win this year. And that victory came earlier this season at California Speedway out in Fontana, a racetrack that's identical to the 2-mile oval here at Michigan International Speedway. Let's check in now with Matt Yoakum.
Jimmy Johnson's looking to rebound from his worst career Nextel Cup finish, which came 1 week ago at Pocono. Job one on Friday, qualifying. He missed the pole by 1/1000th of a second, but that did garner him the second pick for his pit stall. Chad Canals chose pit stall number 11. That gives him an opening right in front, easier exit. Now Saturday in happy hour, the car was excellent. The only issue, they're concerned running up high, it was a little too edgy, but they feel like that this car is going to be really stout today. Fun meter is high. Marty?
Well, Matt, all the way at the head end of pit road, of course, J.J. Yaley in stall number 2. It's Jeff Gordon, our championship leader right now. Now, Jeff, through 14 races, is off to the best start of his career. That includes 98 when he won 13 races that year. And for the 21st time in his career today, he will try to win back-to-back races. Just talked to Jeff moments ago, asked him how the car was yesterday. He said, it was just okay. But crew chief Steve Letarte was standing there, said, we've been just okay in all 4 of those wins we had this year earlier in practice as well. They should be pretty good today. Larry Mack?
Guys, I think the biggest story, Greg Biffle touched on it, it's the weather. The racetrack right now is almost 130 degrees. That means these cars will have no grip. Slip sliding around, I think adjustments on pit road are going to be very important. But I have a question. Kyle Petty, I've always believed in what you said. What are you doing here this weekend?
What am I doing here this weekend? I said I was retiring from driving, not from doing this stuff. That was my promise. No more driving for me. But
I thought you said you would not come back to the racetrack if that strategy worked out, is the way I remember.
I had to come back to the racetrack. I apologize. I lied to America. That's my fault. I'll fess up right there.
You want to explain that?
Last week, Jeff Gordon, and I'll explain it, last week, Jeff Gordon and that team put themselves in a position by not pitting, and I'm thinking, what a dumb call. I cannot believe how stupid that call is. And all of a sudden, as it spins around, and the way the pit windows fall,
and it did spin
around, and the way the rain came and everything, I'm thinking, my God, if they've got a direct connection to heaven, and they're getting information from people I can't get information from, obviously, then I can't race against that. Way too much information for me.
This coming from a guy who found out he won a race at Watkins Glen from a pit reporter in a rainstorm, right?
But I told him that day, I said, I'm going to have it from a little bit higher authority from you telling me I've won this race.
And you got it. Field coming to get the green flag here at Michigan. 200 laps on this 2-mile track. Pit road speed 55, and the pit window around the 40-lap mark. Casey Kane won here in the rain 1 year ago. Matt Kenseth won the race here last August. It is a beautiful day. Temperature in the 80s. The sun is shining. It is hot. It is humid, and these fans are ready to go for 400 miles here on TNT. J.J. Yaley, first time ever on the pole, next to the defending champion, Jimmy Johnson, the reigning Nextel Cup Series champ. Coming to get the green. Happy Father's Day from all of us at TNT and NASCAR's Racing in Michigan.
J.J. Yaley went from the point to back to 6th spot. Probably going to lose a few more spots here, Kyle, because now maybe he might get in line right here. They're spread out, they're fanned out a little bit, but you know, when these cars are nose to tail going down that straightaway, they're getting a pretty good draft, and you'll lose a lot of spots if you can't duck back in line.
You'll lose a lot of spots. And the one interesting thing about Michigan is this. Most places we run, when you get to that first corner, what's everybody do? Go to the bottom. They want to get down and protect that inside line. Here, that outside line is just a fast way. That's the way they were practicing yesterday. JJ's moved to the outside line now, but he lost a few positions in the process.
Jimmy Johnson from the outside pole leads the early laps here at Michigan. Then Ryan Newman, Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., Jeff Gordon in that 24 on board with Gordon. They were 3 wide, less than a mile into this race, and we should see that all afternoon.
You're definitely going to see it early in the race and early after a caution, because that's when the tires are sticking the very best. You got to get what you can get early, and then you're going to have to go through a period where everything kind of equals out. And then if your car's still that under you, you'll get some more.
And then you got to watch your fuel mileage.
And you got to watch your fuel mileage, man.
Which drivers do such a good job with.
Yeah, you know, when we can pedal. I love that. Pedal that thing and give me a couple extra miles per gallon. Oh, yeah, I'm all over that one for you.
But don't give up any time on the track.
Yeah, don't get past when you're doing it.
Yeah, now you're running too slow. Pedal faster.
Single file up front. There's Kyle Busch, followed by Martin Truex Jr.
And there's Kyle Busch. Now, you know, we know Earnhardt's got his spot, and he's all figured out and happy. I think this guy's got something to prove before he gets out of this car. And, you know, as far as distractions go, I think that he wants to win as many races as he can before this year is over. Kind of show him, hey, sorry, guys, I'm moving on.
Tony Stewart in that 20 car, the Home Depot Chevy.
The problem with Tony starting that far back and then having to go and fix the front end, basically he didn't know exactly where his front end's going to be. He's got to try that a few laps. And the worst condition for the nose is following somebody. And when they're 3 wide, there is no clean air.
Yeah, following somebody in 40th spot. You've got all those cars and all that dirt. Three wide right there going into turn 3.
They fan out in front of him. Tony looks for a spot in the middle.
Wow, look at him. I think he's feeling pretty good about that car right now.
Yeah, I'm with you. He got right in the middle of the corner. The thing turned left. He powered up, and now he's making it 3 wide down the front stretch. But that all started in the middle of the corner.
And Tony really hasn't said a whole lot on the radio, just trying to work his way to the front. But keep this in mind, the misfortune that happened in final practice, that was their last run of the day. They felt like they had a great package. They put a set of sticker tires to go out and make one more run just to double check. They were exactly where they needed to be, and that's when the incident happened. They're trying to save some mileage, which we'll talk about a little later on the motor. Up front, a battle for second.
Truex Jr. in the 1, Ryan Newman in the 12. Newman, a 2-time winner here at Michigan. Truex won 2 weeks ago at Dover. And he is really the man in the spotlight right now. Update on Truex from Ralph.
Dylan, talking to most of the drivers and the crew chiefs down here, they say they're really looking for 2 things out of those tires, and it's one or the other. You either want to have a good 4-wheel drift, or you want to have a little bit of a push in the front end. But the one thing you don't want to have is the rear end of that car sliding around. They're telling me that these tires, as hard as they are, will slow off a good second after about laps of racing. I asked Martin Truex, so how do you feel about being a World Rally Championship driver? He said, I can slide this thing as good as the rest of them. Marty?
And Ralph had talked to Ryan Newman right before he hopped in the race car, and he said, you know, I'm really concerned about the early part of this race because these are the conditions when we weren't very good yesterday. They were excellent in the first practice when it was cloudy and cool, but into these hot, sunny conditions, they have tried and tried to adjust on this 12 car to make it a little bit better, but so far they have struggled with the handling being very loose.
Started 4th, runs 3rd in that 12 machine. And Ryan, another guy looking to get back to victory lane. Jimmy Johnson leads. Started outside the front row. Pole sitter J.J. Yaley is dropped back to the 10th position. There's Kyle Busch. And it's not just his fans and Hendrick Motorsports fans that are watching him, as Wally and Kyle have talked about. Other car owners are watching him as well now.
Yeah, but you know, it's funny when you get to this point. Everybody knows that he's out there looking for a job. Other car owners already know what he's doing. You know what I mean? So he's not really auditioning. What he's trying to do is say, you guys were maybe a little bit off kilter for letting me go.
Yeah, you made a mistake.
You made a mistake. He's trying to prove one team wrong, not trying to impress a lot of other teams sometimes.
Running with his teammate. Let's get more from Matt.
Bailey almost went to victory lane in the Craftsman Truck Series race on Saturday, narrowly missing that victory, but he has a lot of motivation. But this team knows they have been there this year. They already have a win at Bristol. 7 top 10 finishes, but it's those 5 finishes of 30th or worse. As Jimmy Johnson is losing the lead to Martin Truex, they know they need to improve that to have a shot at that championship.
Thanks a lot, Matt. Martin Truex. Martin Truex Jr., the race leader.
Yeah, go ahead. He was making a lot of time up. He's about 3 or 4 tenths of a second faster than Jimmy Johnson. He's running a little bit higher line, or was, than Jimmy Johnson. So, and a lot of these guys in practice were really using that high line where we used to not see that. You start at the bottom, you wind up at the top. A lot of cars were trying to tune the car into the top.
Martin Truex Jr. is in the spotlight. He's in the sunshine at Michigan. He's out front. You're watching NASCAR live on TNT. We're under green at Michigan. We continue under green, but trouble for Ryan Newman. Had a left rear tire go down. Marty.
Yeah, Bill, here he is on pit road, and now they're trying to get the carcass of the old left rear out, which is wrapped up inside the car. Now, we have not had tire problems to speak of here this weekend at Michigan so far. Ryan was extremely loose. That will be a little hard on the left rear tire as well as the right rear tire, and they're having to get a sawzall and cut that tire carcass out where it's wrapped up in the chassis components in the left rear. Long, lengthy stop for Ryan Newman. That will likely take him out of contention to win this race.
5 top 10s in the last 6 races, but 59 races since Ryan Newman last went to victory lane. There's your race leader, Martin Truex Jr. Jimmy Johnson runs second. Then it's Jeff Gordon, Kyle Busch, and Denny Hamlin in the 5th position.
You know, looking at Ryan Newman there with that flat tire, we didn't used to see that with bias ply tires. Bias ply tires would come apart. These things, as they come apart, they're radials. It's just like the radials that you see all up and down the interstate. The gators, as they call them, laying in the middle. And what they do, as they come off, they go inboard because you're running at such speed, and they wrap around the rear end housing. So these guys have to cut that off. And when you say a sawzall to cut a tire off, you're cutting through that radial tire. You got to whack that thing off. You can't send your guy back out there. And it does brake damage. It does fan damage. It can do a lot of suspension damage if it's a front tire. And that's what takes so long now. Used to, that would just be stop, change tires, let's go. Now it's stop, let's get the sawzall and get this thing cut off.
J.J. Yaley in the 18 car started on the pole.
He's back. Yep, 17th spot right now and losing more position. So obviously J.J.'s got his hands full with that chassis right now. There's Matt Kenseth in the 17 taking a look underneath.
It's Kevin Harvick in the 29 and Michael Waltrip just in front of them.
And give a little shout out to Michael Waltrip there. He's hanging tough in the top 15 or 16 right along in there. And to have had the year that he's had, it's really, really good to see him in that Napa car run.
Marty, following up on the 12.
Yeah, guys, Ryan Newman left pit road, wanted to know what the body damage was, but look at this carcass that was wrapped up inside the chassis of the cars. I dropped my radio around it, and this was all wrapped up inside the suspension of the race car. It's why it took them so long on pit road. They had to unravel it. You see where they had to cut through it to get it out of the pieces of the spring, shocks, things like that, because it was all wrapped up inside there. Cost Ryan Newman a lot of time here on the racetrack.
It's amazing he didn't knock the spring out of it. Or a shock or something like that.
It is amazing because you got to imagine these tires weigh 70 pounds when inflated, so there's a huge hunk of steel and rubber flopping around in there. Even though it looked like he was running slow, he's still running 90 or 100 miles an hour coming down the backstretch on a flat tire.
That's a nice pack back there. They're all chasing Martin Truex Jr. He's made his way to the front looking for his 2nd Nextel Cup Series win. You're watching NASCAR from Michigan on TNT. Truex Jr. has moved from 18th to 11th in points in the last 3 races. Today, he has moved to the front of the field. He's the race leader as we complete 22 laps here at Michigan. Time for our AT&T Race Talk question, and it's about his teammate. What impact will Junior's move to Hendrick have on his career? Text the word race to 191 on your AT&T wireless phone and vote. And we'll have the results later on in tonight's newscast. On board with Junior, there's Truex. Jimmy Johnson runs second. Then it's Jeff Gordon, Denny Hamlin, Kurt Busch up to 5th. Kyle Busch runs 6th. All right, let's get our first update from Larry McReynolds this afternoon, sir.
Well, Bill, I'm down here at our TNT Test Ford Fusion, our test car, and what Mike Nelson and that 12 group had to do when that car's tire started coming apart, it wrapped all around the rear end housing here, wrapped up in the spring. So what they had to do, they had to take this Sawzall and get in there and start cutting on that. They had to start cutting it to get it out, because what you have to remember, guys, it's not just rubber. It's a steel belted radial tire, so that was the real challenge. Not only just have to cut the rubber, but cut the steel belts away. That's why it took so long to get all of that out of there before they could put the new tire on.
Amazing it didn't hit that brake line, Larry.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of things up in there that it could have done damage. You know, you've got the oil tank, you've got oil lines, so they were very fortunate. That was the only problem, that it wrapped all around the rear end housing.
So Ryan Newman currently scored in the 43rd position, 3 laps down. Greg Biffle in the 16, Junior in the 8. This is back for 11th. Biffle had it. Earnhardt's got it.
You see the momentum that these guys have by running higher, how much momentum they have to shoot them down the straightaway. And right now, the way a lot of these guys are going, they're just looking for fresh pavement. You see Junior all the way. That looks like Darlington. He's running so close to the wall. It looks like Darlington running through 1 and 2 down there. And I think I've seen him run higher this week up here for the last couple of days because it's been hotter. The track conditions have been hotter. It's a different tire. There's a lot of different things than they've ever run before, and that's the least used asphalt up there. Everybody in the open wheel cars and the trucks wanted to run around the bottom. These guys are at the top.
Now at Michigan, you see a lot of interesting things develop as far as drivers are concerned. Here's another solid start for Brian Vickers.
Yeah, and once this Red Bull team gets in the show, especially this car with Brian Vickers, they run good. You know, but because they missed some races and they had that hole that they have to dig themselves out of, being guaranteed a spot to start these races, it's tough qualifying. But when Brian's in the race, he runs great.
Yeah, they are, we've said it before, they are leading the charge for Toyota. I don't care what anybody says. They are consistently, when they make the races, a top 10 or 15 car. And just like watching qualifying the other day and watching Brian in practice, you know, and they talked, you see him give a wave there to the 99 as he goes around. They've talked a little bit about our engine package is getting better. We're understanding our engine package more. They don't talk about the car a lot. They talk about their engine package. And I think Brian's kind of figured that out, because if we think back to Charlotte and some of the other racetracks, he lets the car just roll free through the middle and treats the engine as a momentum type thing, not as a torque deal to build it back up off the bottom.
That being the case, he may be in trouble in New Hampshire and a couple of these places.
Exactly. At Martinsville and New Hampshire, a place where you got to grunt and get up off the bottom of the racetrack and dig, you're going to be in trouble with an engine like that that's a little soft on the torque side. But an engine that'll get up and just keep that RPM, more like a late model stock car that you see at your local Saturday night NASCAR track. I think when you look at things like that, Brian has that experience, and he can keep this car wound up.
More on Brian Vickers from Lindsay Zarniak.
Thank you, Bill. And I wanted to add on what you and Kyle were talking about, because, Kyle, you're exactly right. He said it is the engine that's making a big difference, and he did finish 5th when he was at Charlotte. But I talked to his spotter, who is David Green, who said that he has seen a ton of difference in Brian, and Brian says his confidence has been at a level where he feels like he's communicating well, and they've got a really, really fast race car. As far as the car that you see right next to him, it's the 99 of Carl Edwards. And man, is he shot out of a cannon, because like we said, Edwards started 12th. He's now moved up. And when I talked to him about making his 100th career start, he said, you don't even understand. 5 or 6 years ago, I didn't even think I could ever have a career in the Nextel Cup.
Carl made his debut here and has had a very successful career. Been a while since he's been to victory lane. That one car of Martin Truex Jr. is number 1 on the side and number 1 on the track. He leads Johnson, Gordon, Hamlin, and Kurt Busch at Michigan. 32 laps complete in the Citizens Bank 400. And Martin Truex Jr. is the race leader. Jimmy Johnson runs second. Jeff Gordon runs third. And we are approaching pit stops. On the Move is brought to you by the Principal Financial Group. We'll give you an edge. Time for our Principal Financial Group On the Move drivers. You see Earnhardt Jr. going forward. Jamie McMurray up 9 spots. Tony Stewart started in the 41st position and has currently scored 33rd.
Yeah, and he might get lapped here, Bill, if this thing stays green much longer.
Joe Nemechek headed for pit road. Lindsay, you watching this one?
I am watching. It looks like right now they're on the right side changing tires. They're going to give Joe 4 and fuel. Joe has been very, very happy with this car, obviously, because they had a great starting position. He hopes he can keep it up for a good Father's Day. Bill?
Thanks, Lindsay. We have an outside wall here on pit road. What's this one like when these guys start coming in?
This is a great pit road. This is one of the best pit roads we run. I don't care if you've got an outside wall. There's tons and tons of room to get in and out of your pits to get back in line. You know, we probably saw something there with the 13 car that we may not see for the rest of the day. Just like Lindsay said, he's happy with his car. He had a great start. They didn't make any chassis adjustments. No wedge, no anything. We see these cars going forward or going back and doing stuff. I thought we'd see a lot of chassis adjustments as hot as the day is, but we didn't see anything. There may have been a tire pressure adjustment.
How about these two guys running together? Dale Earnhardt Jr. following Kyle Busch.
But you saw Kyle Busch's hand come out the window, which means I'm going down pit road. So he's going to give Junior the outside, and I'm betting Kyle Busch comes down pit road. And that's just good communication. You know, you want to let the guy in front of you know when you barrel off into the corner. So obviously there's not a lot of hard feelings there. Kyle would have let him follow him off in the corner and brake checked him and then said get down pit road best way you can.
Gives up the 9th position, comes to pit road. Tony Stewart's also on pit road right now. Matt?
Chassis adjustment by Shaggy Larson, the catch can man for Tony Stewart. His car extremely on the tight side. He's away. Meanwhile, the 5 team, as their car hits pit road, he said on a scale of 1 to 10 that he was tight at about a 5, but he had a 4-wheel drift on exit. Significant air pressure adjustment, trying to get this 5 a little bit better. He was running in the 9th position before his stop.
J.J. Yaley on pit road. Carl Edwards is on pit road. Martin Truex Jr. is making his way down pit road. Marty Snyder.
Well, Kurt Busch just left pit road. He said his car was tight on entry, and it never really got better the longer they ran. So what they did, they put a round in the right rear. Ralph?
Well, Martin Truex is very happy with his car. They're just going to make a slight air pressure adjustment. They said we led 1 lap. We got 5 points for that. Let's lead the most and get the rest of the points there as well.
So you see the traffic on pit road. Jeff Gordon on pit road right now at the bottom of your screen. Truex creeping down pit road. Pit road speed limit 55 miles per hour. Jimmy Johnson's been on pit road. Marty?
Jeff Gordon leaving pit road, Bill. A little bit tight at the end of that. He said especially in turns 1 and 2, half round of wedge in the right rear for Gordon, trying to loosen up that 24 just a little bit, Weber.
Bill, Kevin Harvick, Daytona 500. Oh, close call with his teammate, as well as a 96 of Tony Rain. All 3 RCR cars on pit road. All 3, Bill, complaining of the same thing. Tight in the center and extremely free on exit. Big adjustments for all.
They work on Denny Hamlin. Ralph?
Very happy with the number 11 of Denny Hamlin. The FedEx crew goes to work on it. No changes here, Bill.
Hamlin leaves his pit stall. There's Junior. Service on his car completed.
Ralph? They're very happy with Junior's car as well. He's been pretty quiet with it. They're just watching the lap times, Bill. Those tires falling off a little bit. Very hard tire here today.
Junior off of pit road.
And I'm not sure that the tires got anything to do with this today. When this racetrack is this hot, I don't care if you had Martinsville tires here. You had a soft tire, a soft comment, you'd have trouble hooking it up. These guys are just struggling. You know, we've had tire issues maybe in the past, but I don't think that's an issue here today. I just think it's getting your car down in the racetrack and getting it hooked up.
Okay, now let's go back and take a look at Denny Hamlin coming onto pit road and heading for his pit stall. There's Hamlin in the 11 car, FedEx Chevy.
Whoa!
It's Juan Pablo Montoya.
Actually got some help getting in his pit stall.
And here's what we saw with the 29 of Harvick and the 31 of his teammate Jeff Burton.
Yeah, this is a team owner's nightmare right here. And both those guys did a really good job avoiding something that could have been very serious. And again, we talk about these fenders. If you start leaning on these fenders, you start damaging fenders in the pit. It's going to affect the car a lot how the handle's out on the racetrack.
37 laps are complete at Michigan. We've been green since the green, and Martin Truex Jr. has been the story. Watching NASCAR on TNT. Happy Father's Day, everybody, from the TNT Race family to your family and all the NASCAR fans here in Michigan today, and there are a lot of them. Martin Truex Jr. is out front. He'd only led 54 laps in his career before Dover. He's led over 250 in the last 3 races, and he is out front again today.
Go ahead. No, I want to say something about Martin here. I don't think in all the years that I've raced or been around racing and been around the sport, I've ever seen a team win a race and it propelled that team momentum-wise as far as Dover has propelled this one car. They went Dover, they went Pocono, they went here. They've been a factor for 3 weeks in a row. And I don't mean a factor in the top 5. I mean a factor running for the win of the race. And I don't believe I've ever seen anything like this. These guys grabbed that win, and they're hanging on to it.
You see the damage on the front of Montoya's right front when he turned Hamlin going into the pit lane there, so I'm sure his car's not handling very well.
Okay, more on Martin Truex from Larry.
Here's what's interesting, guys. There's 19 Chevrolets in this field. As I walked through the garage area on Friday, almost all of the Chevrolets have the new package, the R07 engine. But Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, they have elected not to go with that package. I talked to Kevin Mannion, Martin Truex Jr.'s crew chief this morning. He said, you know what, Larry? We are happy with the package we have. We know we need to get to that R07 engine, but we want more time with it. And guess what, guys? Even though after you win a race, NASCAR completely tears the engine down, guess what engine this is here today in that car? The Dover winner.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Larry, are you in the tunnel? It sounds like you're in the tunnel.
I'm in a wind tunnel.
Okay.
Okay, now let's wreck the stats people here, okay? Because I know you're into the stats stuff.
Whoa, hang on.
Yep.
Go ahead, Montoya.
Okay. No one's ever won their first Nextel Cup race and won the next one. But let's find out if anybody's ever won their first one and then won 2 races later.
That's huge.
You see that?
That's
see the look
great...
we got over here?
Go, stat man.
Don't jump. Don't jump.
Go.
There's our Toyota track fact. Bill Elliott, the only driver to win 3 consecutive June races here at Michigan. Bill also won 4 straight races here and in the field today.
Wow, there's
Toyota
the 9 car. Boy, that's a shocker. Casey Kane about to go a lap down.
There's a guy who won one of the races last year and finished 4th in the other race with this car. We haven't talked about this car, I don't think, so far since we've dropped the green flag, but that is last year's Dodge Charger. Casey and those guys wanted to bring last year's car, the 06 car, back to Michigan because they had so much success here last year to try to find out what's wrong with that team, to try to re-baseline themselves there and at Abraham Motorsports. So they're continuing to struggle a little bit.
And they're going to continue to look.
And obviously it's not in the 06 or 07, or it doesn't appear to be right now. But you can't say that either because they've only had really 1 race on that car. If they were able to run it 5 or 6 races, they'd probably be back in the swing the way they were last year.
A year ago, Casey Kane was 5th in points. Coming in today, 28th.
You know, and Wally said something earlier about the 42 car with damage. He's got to have, the front end can't be as good as it was when he started, but you saw him drive around the 9 and the 40, his teammate. Those cars are intact. Montoya's not. So obviously Montoya's up on the wheel driving that thing, or at least trying to stay in the lead lap at this point in time.
Marty, how about Casey Kane?
Well, Kyle talks about that brand new nose. I asked Casey about why they went for that strategy this weekend. He said it's actually made the front end of our cars work better. But Kyle, you know what happens then? Then the back end of the car becomes unbalanced. Casey thought they might have a shot to do well today, but the car is so loose because the front end is working, the rear end of the car is not, that they're just having their hands full right now. That's why he went down the lap early on.
There's a lot of Dodges that have their hands full right now. I mean, you've got Kurt Busch up there in 5th spot, but you have to go all the way back to 29th spot, which which is Montoya, before you find the next Dodge. So these guys are not having a happy day.
And the Dodges struggled last week. Last week we were looking at stuff. The Dodges finished all together in a group of about 8 or 9 cars, and for whatever reason, the Dodge program, the Penske crowd has latched on to something. The 12 and the 2, they really hit on a combination that really works for their Dodge. But everybody else, all the other teams, we seem to be struggling a little bit.
Montoya just got knocked off the lead lap. Only 28 cars still on the lead lap because of the quick pace set by Truex. Under caution at Michigan for Dupree. It's our first caution. There are 49 laps complete. The field is coming to pit road. Juan Montoya is the lucky dog. Ralph.
We go to the triple split, Bill, and your race leader will be at the top. They're going to go with just 2 tires. He's been a little loose. It's just a slight air pressure adjustment here, Matt.
Jimmy Johnson, he says his car was way too loose on exit. Going to make another chassis adjustment for Johnson, who was running second when the caution came out. Marty.
Jeff Gordon hits pit road. His car is a little bit tight, especially in 1 and 2. They've been fighting that for most of the day. They're getting a little bit better. They did say some might try 2 here. We will go with 4. However, Dale Jr. wins the race off pit road. Half round of wedge for the 24 car. Lindsay?
Carl Edwards came in, and Carl was saying his car was way too loose to be competitive. They brought it in. They made a track bar adjustment, gave him 4 tires and fuel.
I don't know, Kyle. I'm a 4 guy here.
I'm a definite 4 guy here. With track conditions the way they are, with Martin Truex running as fast as he's running, I want 4 every 15 laps, buddy. I got to keep it. I got to stay in the race here.
Under caution at Michigan. NASCAR Nextel Cup Racing from Michigan International Speedway is brought to you by the new F-Series Super Duty, built to work for you. By Subway Restaurant, Subway Fresh. By the Principal Financial Group. For retirement, investments, insurance, and banking, we'll give you an edge. And by Miller Lite. For award-winning taste, there's no debate. Miller Lite. Good call. Field has gotten the 1 to go here at Michigan. And they will come back and get the green flag. And one thing we should point out right away is that caution saved a lot of guys from getting knocked off the lead lap.
Yeah, Tony Stewart being one of them.
It saved a lot of guys because he was getting ready to catch a big group. One guy that just had some trouble at the end of this caution was David Stremme, the 40 car. He ran the red light at the end of pit road, and he was running 900 miles an hour on pit road. You see him pulled over on the inside, letting the car go back around him. So he's almost in a double penalty situation here, and he was already a lap down. He had just gotten lapped.
And they were changing the plug wires on his car as well. So he's got some issues. We asked you to vote earlier about our AT&T Race Talk question. And guess what? Junior Nation has spoken.
There's a shocker.
I think the 49% is all Junior Nation.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. on the way to Hendrick Motorsports in 2008.
Well, we'll see how long Truex can keep this lead, because I think there's 3rd, 4th, and back are going to be pretty fast. But we'll see, because they're on 4 fresh tires.
Green flag in the air.
Ryan Newman leading this thing is like 3 or 4 laps down.
Yeah.
And he's got to make his laps up like this. He can't count on the lucky dog because there's 10 guys in front of him for the lucky dog. Once he goes back, he goes from this position to the end of the line.
Not going to happen, though. Not as fast as that one car is right now. On board with Kurt Busch, looking at Jeff Gordon.
200 miles per hour, a little over 200 going into these corners here at Michigan. They're flying.
And this is the part of the race the fans really love here at Michigan, these restarts.
Oh, you got to love the restart chair, especially on cold tires like we talked about, because these guys can run 3 wide in the corner, and they feel confident putting steering into the car. They feel confident when they go up in the corner, tugging on that wheel a little bit more and getting it down there on the white line as you see the 2 car go to the bottom of the racetrack here and the 99 under the 24. You're real confident. You won't do that in 15 or 20 laps. You either let that guy go or you'll back off way early.
Tires a big factor here at Michigan. Here was the conversation just a little while earlier between Martin Truex Jr. and his guys on pit road.
Crazy? Who's who crazy? Who? Hi. 2 tires? Bunch of people took 2. You'd be yelling at me if we come out 10. A little red car behind you took 2. All right. You've been loose. I put the half back in the right front. We'll see what this does. Clean air, man. 2 tires up top. I'll tell you, drive right away.
That is one thing that he's got going for him, is the clean air. If he was back in 2nd, 3rd, or 4th in traffic, ooh, there's 4 wide almost. He would be struggling. But that's the only thing I think that's saving those guys right now is that they're out front.
And that's an excellent point. That's a great point. That 9 car's got his hands full right now. You saw it took his breath when they split him right there coming out of turn 4. Believe me, I've been in that position a million times in my life, and it takes your breath when they go by you on both sides.
Well, you and I had a conversation, and I was talking to Wally about it as well. These guys that race deeper in the field, is it safe to say they're racing harder than the guys at the front?
Hey, the guys running up front got good handling cars. The guys that are running the middle to the back of the pack, they're all just standing in the seat right now, driving the race car for whatever it's worth. And there's a lot of them doing the same thing. So, yeah, I think these guys are driving a lot harder back there.
A lot harder. And you see these guys 4 wide in the middle of the corner because you can run here. They're not side by side. They're in different places. What that does, that disrupts the air totally. As you see these guys out front, there's nothing in front of them, man. They can point that nose wherever they want to go and be in good air, just tug on it and keep going. But those in the back, you can't make your car do what you want it to do, so you're constantly driving.
Now here we see the 48 car overtaking Dale Jr. This is where I think the 48's good. Now the tires are in, the pressures are up, he's got heat in the tires, and I think he's going to run down the 1 car.
Matt.
Bill, he does have those 4 tires compared to Truex's 2. Good opportunity to gauge just how big of a difference the 4 versus 2, but Jimmy Johnson was a little free on exit, just like happy hour. The car was a little edgy, but he was very strong in the middle. They feel like Truex will have difficulty trying to pass cars in the middle on down, and they feel like maybe later on they're going to be even in better shape, Ralph.
Matt, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is searching for setup on his car. He doesn't know which direction to go. They ended up making the call for him. Then with right sides only, a slight air pressure adjustment, some fuel, and send him back out.
Now right here, this is frustrating Jimmy Johnson a lot because you got Ryan Newman that's 3 laps down, and he is racing the heck out of Jimmy Johnson. And Jimmy Johnson knows if he can clear him, which he does here, now he can start running down Martin. But as long as you're running side by side around this racetrack, you're losing time to the guy that's all by himself out front setting sail.
And this is one of those times when Jimmy's thinking, what goes around comes around, buddy. Next time I'm 5 or 6 laps down and I'm trying to get up there and race the leader, I'm going to run you hard for 3 or 4 laps. All the 12 car has to do in this situation, feather up, get back in line, and go again. Because he's only going to drop back 5 or 6 spots here. And the spotter could tell him that, hey, just go to the end of this line. Get in line behind your teammate, Kurt Busch. He's the last car in this front group because you're not in line for the lucky dog and you're not making your lap up.
Right. You're not close enough to the leader to race Jimmy Johnson hard enough to get one of those laps back.
Here's a story unfolding. Tony Stewart started 41st and has climbed his way up through the field, Matt.
In open wheel terms, Bill, elbows are up. That means he's up on the wheel. Stewart down low where he likes to primarily run, but a battle for the lead between Jimmy Johnson and Truex.
I didn't think it would take long. And I hearing Martin when he was saying 2 tires, are you crazy? I mean, because he knows how much he was sliding around, and if he knew everybody else took 4, I think he figured he was a sitting duck.
And he had to feel that way. And like they tried to explain to him, yeah, okay, let's give it a try here. Man, you saw
did that see
cut
that
it dead back to the right, man. That was huge right there. And he may be a setting duck. Here you see the 99, Carl Edwards going around him. But let me tell you something. At least he knows now what his car will do on 2 tires. Bono and those guys, we know what our car will do on 2. We know what other people are going to do on 4, and we're not going to make this mistake the rest of the day. We've got it out of the way early. It's not costing us anything to run along here in 3rd instead of leading the race.
Lindsay,
And Carl's car is really strong. He was being quiet before, but he just got on the radio a short bit ago and was basically a cheerleader for his team, thanking them for the work that they did on that stop. And he said, guys, I know that you can even do it better than that, so thanks.
I tell you what, though, Kyle, it'll be interesting to see if this thing goes green for a long time. He may slip. It'll be interesting to see how far he slips back into the field, because all the cars behind him have 4 tires.
Well, we'll see how the strategy works out. Right now, Jimmy Johnson has raced his way to the lead. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. We're under caution here at Michigan. Juan Montoya has rubbed the wall. He had brushed it earlier, got the right front fender on the tire. And if you have really good eyesight and you look in the distance, you'll see Juan up into the wall. And that's a pretty good hit.
Yeah, that looked like he lost the right front tire there right before he ate the wall.
So the adventure for Juan Pablo Montoya continues.
Slow down. Make a swing right here if you can.
And the field will be coming to pit road, and now we're going to see some tire strategy perhaps on some of these cars. Mark Martin, by the way, in the 0-1, the lucky dog, will come around, be the 30th car on the lead lap. Montoya trying to get out of the way down there on pit road. Here comes a lot of traffic. Lindsay.
Carl Edwards had said before he was too loose to be competitive. They're going to bring his car in, and here will be some tire strategy because they're just going to give him 2 tires and fuel. Matt.
Jimmy Johnson leading the rest of the leaders down pit road, making his way to his stall. Johnson's in his car. Still 2-3 on exit. He slides to a stop off 4 and off 2. Chad Knaus calling for another air pressure change to Marty.
Kurt Busch is on the bottom of your screen in that 2 car. They're pretty close to where he wants to be. He said the car's just a little bit tight now. They're going to take on 4 tires up half a round on the track bar. Ralph?
Marty, as far as Martin Truex is concerned, he said, I don't think we should have done those 2 tires. They're going to give him a full 4 set here. They said they won't do it to him again. Now, in the last restart, the one had a slight vapor lock. So, guys, let's keep an eye on that as they get ready to go back to green.
Wow, that is something to keep your eye on.
That's the biggest break right there is the 1 car. This caution saved those guys, in my opinion, because I think they were going to fall way back into the middle of the field.
Carl Edwards, too fast, exiting pit road. We'll restart at the tail end of the longest line when we go back to green flag racing. We're under caution. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. We're under caution here at Michigan. Juan Montoya has rubbed the wall. He had brushed it earlier, got the right front fender on the tire. And if you have really good eyesight and you look in the distance, you'll see Juan up into the wall. And that's a pretty good hit.
Yeah, that looked like he lost the right front tire there right before he ate the wall.
So the adventure for Juan Pablo Montoya continues.
Slow down. Make a swing right here if you can.
And the field will be coming to pit road, and now we're going to see some tire strategy perhaps on some of these cars. Mark Martin, by the way, in the 0-1, the lucky dog, will come around, be the 30th car on the lead lap. Montoya trying to get out of the way down there on pit road. Here comes a lot of traffic. Lindsay.
Carl Edwards had said before he was too loose to be competitive. They're going to bring his car in, and here will be some tire strategy because they're just going to give him 2 tires and fuel. Matt.
Jimmy Johnson leading the rest of the leaders down pit road, making his way to his stall. Johnson's in his car. Still 2-3 on exit. He slides to a stop off 4 and off 2. Chad Knaus calling for another air pressure change to Marty.
Kurt Busch is on the bottom of your screen in that 2 car. They're pretty close to where he wants to be. He said the car's just a little bit tight now. They're going to take on 4 tires up half a round on the track bar. Ralph?
Marty, as far as Martin Truex is concerned, he said, I don't think we should have done those 2 tires. They're going to give him a full 4 set here. They said they won't do it to him again. Now, in the last restart, the one had a slight vapor lock. So, guys, let's keep an eye on that as they get ready to go back to green.
Wow, that is something to keep your eye on.
That's the biggest break right there is the 1 car. This caution saved those guys, in my opinion, because I think they were going to fall way back into the middle of the field.
Carl Edwards, too fast, exiting pit road. We'll restart at the tail end of the longest line when we go back to green flag racing. We're under caution. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. NASCAR on TNT. We're in Michigan for the Citizens Bank 400. Under caution, 71 laps are complete. Father-to-be, Jeff Gordon, is the new race leader.
Ladies
You see the cars still under caution. There's Carl Edwards, too fast exiting pit road, has been back on to pit road.
Unbelievable. That's just unreal.
And why he's saying that is he doesn't believe he was speeding on pit road.
Yeah, but we talked earlier about this pit road. I think this is one of the best pit roads we have. The pit stalls are wide, they're long, and that's great for the teams. That makes it safer for the guys. And pit road itself, there's a couple of different exits, even though we've seen people run over each other. But the other thing about it is this. You have no sensation of speed when you're out there. You really got to pay attention to your tack when you're leaving this pit road to keep it under the proper limit.
More from Lindsay.
It's over and done with. We're going to do it.
Like you guys said, Carl did just come back down here. They did give him 4 tires since he did have to go back to the line. And Kyle, I'm sure you can relate to this because his crew chief just got on and said, don't worry, we have a really, really fast race car. We're just going to roll right on front. But I know that Carl Edwards is chomping at the bit, not too happy.
Lindsay, he obviously doesn't believe he was speeding. He was caught in all that traffic, right?
Exactly.
There was a lot of traffic. The 1 and the 8.
Well, that's
very close on.
That's why you can't believe that you got caught for speeding, because you got cars all around you. And it's like, well, how did I get caught? And none of these other guys I'm running around get caught, and we're all on pit lane at the same time. So that's why, as a driver, you don't believe that you were speeding.
As a driver, you never believe anything's your fault anyhow.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But it is so
actually
easy.
As a person,
yeah, but
I don't ever believe anything.
That's true. But it is so easy to get caught up when you're leaving pit road. When a guy comes out of his pit stall, he may be running faster than the proper limit, and then he backs it down.
Right.
And you're able to back it down. You get so caught up in trying to lunge and trying to get ahead of that guy leaving pit road. You know, you just want to beat that guy to the stoplight is basically what you're doing.
Larry McReynolds.
Well, guys, I want to talk about this 2-tire, 4-tire situation. You know, for a number of years coming here to Michigan, if the weather was cool, we definitely would go with just 2 right-side tires, especially after only running 14 laps as we did between caution 1 and caution 2. But I think we've talked about it since the top of the show. It's so hot here. The grip is so down. This is a little harder tire that doesn't have a lot of grip anyhow. I just think, for the most part, knowing that we could get those long green runs like we did when they dropped the green flag for the first 51 laps, I think changing just 2 right-side tires, you're absolutely playing with fire.
So the drivers and the crew chief are in agreement here?
Incredible.
If you're at home watching this, mark this day down. Father's Day 2007, drivers and crew chiefs agree.
Larry agrees.
All right, now I do
booth.
promise this. If it doesn't work out, I'm not going to tell you I won't be back next week.
We learned our lesson there, didn't we?
We learned our lesson. Okay, open mouth, insert foot. I apologize.
It was good, though. Field gets the 1 to go right now, and we'll check in on our AutoZone in the zone drivers. Roger Penske, back-to-back wins here as an owner. Ryan Newman did it back in 03 and 04. Jack Roush with Greg Biffle. And Casey Kane.
They probably think that was 100 years ago.
Today they think it was 100
06,
years
you know
ago.
what I mean?
And obviously Matt Kenseth in that last graphic drives for Jack Roush and not Ray Evernham.
This is a great shot here. This shot, for all you fans out there, is a Richard Petty shot. And it is. You still see photos, black and white photos today. My father would chew on a red rag just to suck the fluid out of it, the moisture out of the flag, or out of the rag, and to keep his face damp. It was just the air blowing up across that damp cloth would keep him cool.
Ever throw him a gas rag?
No.
Oh, they did? I thought they did it.
They did.
Oh, yeah.
I thought you meant that I told you earlier. I spun him out one time. Hey, and let me just say, Happy Father's Day, Dad. I didn't mean to spin you out 20 years ago at Martinsville. But, you know, so I never did that. They did it to him. I didn't do it.
Came all the way up here
That's an ugly surprise.
Oh, that would be ugly. A gas rag, and you put it in your mouth thinking it's going to make you better, man.
I think he told me that happened.
That's wrong. Oh, it did. I thought you asked, was it me? No. I wouldn't be sitting here today if it was.
Pace car heads to pit road. Jeff Gordon leads Sterling Moreland, Jimmy Johnson, J.J. Yaley, who took 2 tires, and Kurt Busch, and the rest of the field to the restart here in Michigan.
Newman's doing everything he can to try to get some of those laps back.
He's around. Off the front of Jeff Green, Ryan Newman, caution's out.
And there's the one car.
Yep, and Vickers, 83.
Matt Kenseth, the 17.
A lot of good cars right there.
I tell you, the one car doesn't look hurt right there, just at first glance. Flat tire. Just needs to keep
here. Even around, you got plenty of time. We just got spun down the back, guys. They were checking up in front of us and got hit from behind.
He's got a little damage there in the left rear. That might affect him a little bit. Boy, Brian Vickers having a good run.
Vickers was
the front did.
From the chopper. This is Newman, who's several laps down.
And I'm going to say from that angle, Newman could turn left on the 66. I don't think that was Jeff Green's fault. They were already, Newman got a run on him, went to the outside, knew he couldn't get up into the leader. Obviously, he did not want to get into the 24 car, cut back across the hood of the 66. So I'm going to call it that more than the other.
Well, I don't.
You call it one way, I'll call it the other.
I call it, it looked like Jeff Green's car took off up the racetrack.
This is the ugly part.
Yeah.
You see this, and we see this so many times in this sport. There's an accident that happens, but there's a bigger accident trying to avoid the main accident. And you see two cars get together, they both get taken out themselves. Look behind, look behind. You see the wreck here, but look behind as you see this right here. These guys are checking up, and boom, they just start jumping out of the pack. You can't see it. We moved, or the camera goes the other way, but you see the smoke on down. These guys are checking up. There's no place for anybody to go.
And try and watch for the 8 in here, because Dale Earnhardt Jr. has already been on and off of pit road. This is on board with Gordon.
We're all around. Caution behind you. Caution behind you.
On board, Kevin Harvick.
Spin in front of you. Go low. I don't know what to do there.
Yeah, and you got to be careful. You don't want to get out of the gas too hard because you know you'll get hit. So you got to kind of try to stay on the gas, not to hit the guy in front of you, but also hope the guy behind you is not going to clobber you.
And the problem is, when you get to that point, as we saw in the photo, they're 4 wide. So you can't go left, you can't go right, because the cars are so deep on each side of you, you've got no place to escape.
There's the damage on the 66. Now, we're told Dale Earnhardt Jr. was not involved in that crash, but did not come up to speed on the restart. Let's watch. It's Jr. in the 8. Clearly off the pace.
Yeah, it looks like he thinks he has a flat tire, perhaps. I don't think that was a motor thing. It looked like he was just fighting that car.
Yeah, I'm with you. It almost looked like he had a flat tire the way the car wiggled around. I don't know if he was weaving back and forth trying to check and see.
Jack it up there, Hootie.
This is live. Second visit to pit road.
Spotted Jack stand under there.
Kevin Harvick is on pit road. Carl Edwards has just left his stall. Greg Biffle also making a stop.
He's got into something with the valence because they're kicking the valence out. You see him with the duck bills right there in the middle, pulling that valence back out. There's a valence bar under there. You see the guys twisting, just pulling up at themselves and beating it out.
Well, they're doing.
He's hit something at some point in time, whether before the wreck or during the wreck, that's rolled that up under it.
Yeah, they're doing a nice job.
That's downforce right there, man.
Oh, yeah.
He is adding downforce, and guess what? That car doesn't have to go back through the temper room when this thing's over with.
But whatever he hit, it must have been pretty big and pretty hard because they're pounding on that thing.
There is no lucky dog because it would have been Jeff Green. He was involved in the caution.
Yeah, it had to be big enough to move that bar, and that's a pretty decent bar under there. You know, it's braced up to the sway bar tube and a lot of that stuff. But you see, they just kind of picked it back out.
I wonder if he popped something leaving pit lane.
It almost looked like it did when I remember, and we've all seen this. You hit a tire on pit road and cave that middle in.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. When you hit something right dead in the center and move the center in, it creates a little bit of havoc with that bar and the ductwork and everything. But it's like they were trying to pull that back out and straighten in. It doesn't appear to be any other damage to the car, though.
Now, you heard him ask. He was worried about how bad the damage was, and he said they're doing a good job.
Okay, this is his onboard on the restart.
See, the car's just wiggling. He just feels like there's something wrong with the chassis right there, and that's why he rolled out of it. Probably saved him from being in the middle of that wreck, too.
Ralph?
Maybe he's getting that information.
He's already on the information pipeline. My goodness.
Ralph,
Well, what happened is if you go back to lap 69, that's when he made his third pit stop of the day. When he was exiting pit lane going around the apron, he said he ran over something. He didn't really think he did any damage to the car. But once he got going on that restart, he realized he had a flat right rear. And that's why Junior had to come down pit lane.
Matt Kenseth has gone to the garage. He has completed every lap run this year until now.
He may have had a flat right rear, but he still hit something. I mean, they're still doing that work on that left front for some reason.
There's the 17 of Kenseth back in the garage. Matt came into this race second in the championship standings. Ralph, you got some more for us?
Yeah, well, he did run over something. As I said, he came down along the apron exiting out of pit lane. He ran over some debris that was sitting on the racetrack. Apparently, there was a big chunk of something that did not get swept off. That's when he ran over. He didn't think he did any damage, but apparently he did to the valence and that right rear.
Coming back to you, Ralph.
And that very well could have been, because during that last caution, they blew off that corner when Montoya had hit the wall. They blew all that stuff down to the apron, and he could have hit something leaving pit road on that they just didn't see.
Like I said, that right rear going down probably saved him being in the middle of that wreck. Looks pretty good.
It looks really good. They did a really, really good job of putting that thing back and getting it to where he's comfortable. Did you hear him when he ran up through the gears? He got on a chip in third gear. When he got to third, it just flutters just a little bit, and then he pulled it back and forth, but he never got back in the gas because
actually probably
he was already
lucky you have the flat, because we'd have probably been in the wreck or had some business up in the wreck here. Oh yeah, definitely.
So perhaps a bad break turns out to be a good one. There you see the cars involved. Martin Truex Jr. has just left pit road along with Harvick, and you saw Junior leaving as well. And they are doubling up to come get the green. 76 laps are complete. It's Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Sterling Marlin, Kurt Busch, J.J. Yaley, then Clint Bowyer, Denny Hamlin, Joe Nemechek, Casey Mears in 9th, and Kyle Busch in 10th. Michael Waltrip in 11th. Tony Stewart up to 12 from 41st. This is some of the fun stuff at Michigan, the restart. Hang on, here we go. Running 1-2, imagine that. There's Marlin in the 14, Briggs in the 10, Hamlin in the 11.
J.J. Yaley there in the 18 car. He's up the 4th spot. So they've been obviously adjusting, making some improvements on that car. Ooh, a little contact there between Allmendinger, and I couldn't see who the other car was.
Once again, we're in that situation where the guys that are like 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th in line, they're all racing for the lucky dog. They're all a lap down. Then you jump back to, Jimmy Johnson, you jump back to Kurt Busch behind these guys that has to race himself through this group to get back in touch with the leaders.
Martin Truex Jr. scored 27th. He's the last car on the lead lap. He has led 51 laps today, and again is now the last car on the lead lap after being caught up in that caution. We watch the cars on the track. Lindsey Zarniak is in the garage with Matt Kenseth.
Bill, and Matt Kenseth is watching as his crew works on this car. Tell me what happened.
I really don't know what happened up front, but everybody started slowing down, and I got in the back of Martin just a little bit, but not very hard, and he kind of saved it, and I was okay. And I thought everything was being cool, and I just got hit from behind, and then everybody just piled in there. So it's just one of the things in the restart. I think some lap cars got together or something, and everybody's racing hard to try to get back in it, and just got caught up in somebody else's wreck.
Matt, I know you guys felt like you had a very strong race car. Do you feel like you have a chance to get back out there?
Well, we had a pretty good car. I don't know if we had a good enough car to win. I certainly have the team to win, and, you know, they were making some really good adjustments and getting it better. So if we get out there, we're just going to limp around and try to beat, you know, whoever else we can for points. But when it's wrecked this bad, it's not much fun to get back out there. So I don't know if we'll make it or not. It's wrecked pretty bad.
Bill?
Thanks, Lindsay. Again, through the first 14 races, Matt Kenseth had completed every lap. The only driver to do so.
I'll tell you, 07 and the 11 car have been going at it really hard these last couple laps.
Two cars have gotten around them while they're doing this, but they are, I think that Clint Boyer was tired of messing with Denny Hamlin. He just kept him pinned down through 1 and 2 on that last go through.
Tony Stewart looking inside his teammate Denny Hamlin in the 11. It's Boyer in the 07.
Here we go. Here we go.
Oh, Kyle Busch.
It's just sideways watching.
I can't tell who's straight and who's sideways when you look at it.
Stewart got the spot.
I'll tell you, this 11 car and 7 car are probably going to wind up wrecking if they don't give some room to each other.
Casey Mears drives down low.
And they're messing with each other, and everybody else is going to pass them.
Everybody else is passing them. As they run at each other, everybody else is passing them. Look at him throwing
he's
my
mad now.
there. He's mad. Get off my rear end. Give me some room, and we'll get back around these guys. That's what he's telling me.
They just lost about 5 or 6 spots, or at least 6 cars past them. I don't even know if we're on the same lap.
This is one of those times when I'm on the key, I'm on the button saying,
we don't get something going here.
Has that 11 car?
They're all around.
I'm screaming, has that 11 car got a spotter? Find him and tell him to get off my rear end for just a lap or two. Let me catch my breath.
But this is an example of you race a guy how he races you. If you're going to mess with me, then I'm going to mess with you and vice versa. These guys right here aren't giving each other any room.
And it's like you said, they're not giving each other any room, and they lost 6 or 7 positions. And about a half second to 3/4 of a second a lap to the leader.
They didn't give each other room, but they gave room to plenty of other guys.
Robbie Gordon there in the 7 car. He's in 13th spot. Trying to get underneath 31. Jeff Burton, a little loose there.
It's Carl Edwards trying to make his way back up through the field. Same with Greg Biffle in the 16. Martin Truex Jr. in there as well on the 1 car. Boy, there is some exciting racing all over this 2-mile track. But out front, it's that 24 car. Jeff Gordon is the race leader at Michigan.
NASCAR.
You having the time of your life or what? TNT Sports is live at the Michigan International Speedway. 87 laps are complete in the Citizens Bank 400 and a new race leader. For the 3rd time, Jimmy Johnson leads at Michigan. A nice smooth pass inside his teammate Jeff Gordon. So Jimmy Johnson to the lead. Gordon runs 2nd, and they have about 3 seconds on 3rd place Kurt Busch. Take a look at how some of our Gillette young guns are doing. Ryan Newman's had a difficult day. See Casey Kane struggling again. McMurray back there in the 23rd spot. Carl Edwards trying to work his way up through the field. Our Gillette young guns. Jimmy Johnson leads. Let's get an update from Larry McReynolds.
Well, Bill, we've talked about all day long at this racetrack, the speeds they run here, how aero-sensitive these race cars are. Let's talk about Dale Earnhardt Jr., the 8 car, what Tony Gibson and that group had to do to that car when he came to pit road. When they ran over something on the back straightaway, it took this bottom part of this valance and folded it under. Now, the front end of a race car almost works like a cow catcher of a train. When you run a straight edge up to it, to make maximum front downforce, the edge that touches it first should be the bottom edge. You do not want it like that. That kills the front downforce. So what those guys had to do is beat this valance back out to where if you put a straight edge up there, that point touches first. And you know what, Kyle and Wally? As we have had to repair these things on pit road, we've been known to pull it out a little further.
Yes, you have, Larry.
And the drivers have been known to beg for you to pull it out just a little further.
Why does he say we?
I don't know. I don't know. He's a crew chief. He's including everybody down there. It's always we with Larry.
And Hendrick cars out front. Johnson leads, Gordon second, on board with Jeff Gordon for a lap here at Michigan.
You hear him getting after the throttle. I mean, this place you just kind of roll into the corners. I mean, obviously you're full throttle at this point. You're going down into turn 3. You'll roll out of the gas. You'll let the car just kind of float down in there. You may use a little bit of brake depending on how good your car is gripping. You just let it roll, 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 roll. Then you just start picking it up a little bit. If you feel you've got confidence in the car that it's going to stick, then you just really get after the gas pedal.
And I want you guys to remember this at home. Remember this shot from Jeff Gordon's car, because so many places we go, when you get to right here, you're looking for the bottom of the racetrack. At this racetrack, you can look for any space. Just pick a lane and let your car float into it, like Wally says. Ease back into the throttle. Your car will find a natural groove there. You see, he beat the 48 car through 1 and 2 right there. He drew on him a little bit. And a lot of times you get that at Michigan. One corner you're better than the other corner in, because your car is a little bit snugger or, a little bit freer. These guys, you're able to hunt and find a line here to see where your best place is.
Let's see, the 48 just moved his line a little bit. He was way high in that last lap through 3 and 4. Now he moved down, so he's searching. Marty?
Wally, as we're riding along with Jeff Gordon, that pass for the lead was more of a wave by for Gordon than anything. He said, I'm just going to let him go because I'm going to be too tight on exit, trying to hold him off to keep him from passing me, so there's no sense of messing with it. His car, and I don't know if you can pick this up from the in-car camera or not, a little bit loose going into the corner and a little bit tight coming off the corner for Gordon.
Approaching halfway here in Michigan, Tony Stewart started 41st, did not make a lot of progress early, but look at him now. He's in the 4th spot and moving forward. Couple other guys on the move. Carl Edwards up to 9th, Greg Biffle up to 10th, and Martin Truex Jr. has made it to 12th. Truex Jr. has led 51 laps today.
Back at Michigan International Speedway, Mark Fine with you along with Larry McReynolds. It's time for your Nextel mid-race report as we have finished 101 of 200 laps. Yeah, mid-race. We're right there, and Larry Mack hasn't been boring. What are your observations thus far?
Well, I think the biggest thing, Mark, is that a racetrack that has not necessarily preference for Chevrolets. Right now, what I'm seeing is most of the guys up the front, just like those guys up there running 1 and 2, are Chevrolets. Kurt Busch in the Dodge, he's hanging close, but it's a racetrack that has normally favored the Fords. Carl Edwards trying to overcome that pit road speeding penalty, and Greg Biffle, who had a total disaster yesterday. Those guys are still hanging in the top 10 in those Rouse Fenway Fords.
All right, time for us to go through the field. We start with Matt Yoakum. Matt?
And coming into this weekend's race here at MIS, the last 5 Michigan races, Jimmy Johnson had led a combined 2 laps. Today he's already led over 25. Right now he says the car a little too free on exit. They're getting their game plan ready for their next stop on how to tighten him up for that exit condition. Marty?
Well, his teammate Jeff Gordon's back there in second. They're about 10 laps or so from their first pit stop. Actually, about 8 laps now, around lap 110. The car's a little bit loose on entry for Jeff, a little bit tight off. Steve Letarte just told him air pressure adjustments on this next stop to set us up for the last 100 laps of this race. Kurt Busch is in third, turning some very good lap times. He has been committed mostly to the bottom and the middle part of the racetrack, although he's up high very late in the run here. Car's a little bit too tight for Kurt. They're talking about putting in late 8 laps as well. Matt?
Big Orange Tony Stewart. What a run he's had today, all the way from 41st up to 4th. He's been fighting a tight condition most of the afternoon. They progressively freed him up. 2 stops ago, they made a big swing and some adjustments, and it's really helped. He's on his way to the front, Marty.
Well, Matt, Casey Mears has parlayed some late momentum here in the season with a 4th last week. That makes 2 top 5s in the last 3 races for Mr. Mears. The problem for him is not the car today, it's how he feels inside the car. Not feeling so well, asked the crew for a pack of Tums or Rolaids on this stop so it could feel a little bit better. Lindsay?
Marty, Sterling Marlin is right behind. He currently is in the 6th spot, feeling pretty good because his car was 25th fastest in final practice. Last stop, they gave him 2 tires, not too bad, just trying to gain position. Right behind him is the 99 of Carl Edwards, still trying to charge up through the field. He says he's rolling into the corners. They will pit on lap 109 to Ralph.
Well, as far as Denny Hamlin is concerned, right now he's got a little bit of damage to the right front fender. Got knocked in a little bit. They're going to try to fix that next time he comes in.
Greg Biffle roaring up through the field. Yes, the same Greg Biffle in happy hour yesterday who said, I have no idea what to tell you. I've never had a car act like this before. They made tons of changes this morning and during happy hour yesterday. Biffle at one point had to pit out of the sequence with everyone because of a tire that was going down. But now he's back in the top 10 with a fast race car and coming, Matt.
Kyle Busch loaded with motivation, rounding out your top 10. He says today, it's like running on a razor blade. Either it snaps loose or it just goes tight. It has not been consistent. They've made changes, but his car not too bad, Rob.
Matt, Martin Truex has 2 starts here and has completed all but one of the 329 laps possible that he could have completed here. Right now he runs an 11. The early race leader is trying to march his way back up through the field. The 22 of Dave Blaney has only 1 lead lap finish this year. That came at Richmond. He's running 12th right now, trying to get another one. And Robbie Gordon is making small adjustments today, sits in 13th, feeling pretty racy behind the wheel of the number 7. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the number 8 car. He's the one that got very lucky with missing that accident due to running over the piece of debris on the apron. He's running really good lap times. He's pretty happy with the car, Lindsay.
And Earnhardt Jr.'s former teammate, Michael Waltrip, is right behind him in the 14th spot. Waltrip says very, very loose. They'll try to make some changes on their next pit stop, but he's confident about how far they've gotten.
Thanks, you guys. That's the top 15. Then it's Kevin Harvick, J.J. Yaley, Clint Boyer, Jeff Burton, and Ricky Rudd, the top 20. There are currently 27 cars scored on the lead lap. The last car currently on the lead lap is Mark Martin. Jimmy Johnson is the race leader by about 3 seconds over Jeff Gordon. Just past the halfway mark here at Michigan. Johnson's out front. It's Hendrick, 1-2. Where did Junior say he's moving to? Green flag pit stops here at Michigan. Jeff Gordon has just left his pit stall and sets out back onto this 2-mile track. Jimmy Johnson also on pit road to Matt Yoakum.
And Jimmy Johnson gave up the lead. They have pretty much stuck with their 4-tire strategy most of the afternoon. His biggest hindrance has just been a late exit condition where he slides the tires again into his box. Just on exit, the car 2 free. Rich Gutierrez, the gas man, makes the wedge adjustment. Solid stop going on so far for the Lowe's guys. It's one of those places where Jimmy has never won. A little slow on the left rear. He'd love to end his day with his first Michigan victory.
Johnson heads back out. 109 laps are complete. Kurt Busch is the new race leader. Bonus points for Busch. Trying to recover from the 100-point penalty at Dover a couple of weeks ago. Tony Stewart up to the 2nd spot. And that, a Dodge is out front, and that is the only Dodge on the lead lap.
That's incredible.
Clint Boyer's on pit road. Matt?
Bill, it has been a little bit of a strange afternoon. If you take a look at the front balance, he hit some debris about 15 laps ago. Knocked it in a little bit, but not too bad. His spotter, Mike Dillon, says we should be good to go, but he is just way too tight on exit, Lindsay.
Yeah, well, the 0-1 car of Mark Martin has also come in. They made some chassis adjustments, gave him some tires, and he's off.
Marty?
Well, guys, the only adjustment for Kurt Busch, who comes to pit road as the race leader, is a bottle of water to him. The car, very good. In fact, they asked him, what do you want us to do with the chassis? He said, I don't know anything that we could do. We're just going to keep it the same. No changes on the chassis for Kurt Busch. Behind him, Casey Mears will stop on pit road as well. 4 tires, and also for Mears, the Mears gang, there will be no chassis changes on that 25 car either. Running in the top 5 during this run, 4 tires only, Matt.
And Jeff Burton says his car is just absolutely awful through the center of the corner. That's the biggest issue that they need to try to address. Significant air pressure change for Burton on the 31. It's been an up and down day for the entire RCR bunch, it seems. Marty.
See Kyle Busch heading down pit road. Heads for his pit stall. You there, Marty?
Marty's nowhere to be found, so they put right sides on, go around left side, I don't see any wrenches going in that car either, so they may be making a tire adjustment on pressure, but he's obviously fairly happy with that car.
Robbie Gordon's been on pit road as well. The 20 is headed for you, Matt.
And Bill, due to the fact that Tony Stewart had such a poor qualifying effort, as he makes his way to his pit box, he's pitted between the 29 of Harvick and the 31 of Burton. He stayed out an extra lap, so there would not be any issues on pit road. He says, you need to make another air pressure change, Ralph. We need...
Matt, it's just going to be an air pressure adjustment for the 11 of Denny Hamlin as well. They're very happy with this race car. 4 tires and fuel, they'll send him back out.
Looks like it fell off the jack.
Fell off the jack.
Up some more.
Oh, man, that's killing him right there.
Could not get the left rear tire on. Denny Hamlin, almost 30 seconds.
Ouch.
A 30-second pit stop at a place where you're running 41 and 42-second laps is devastating.
Lindsay.
You guys talk about Carl Edwards edging up. He was all the way at second. He had said his car was very
We got a car
tight
spinning,
in
Lindsay.
turn 4. Make a track bar adjustment.
Tony Raines.
And the caution is out.
Come on, Ram.
And let's see how this plays out. Field is frozen. There are 9 scoring loops around this 2-mile track.
That's going to hurt a lot of cars. It's actually going to wind up putting them on the tail end of the lead lap, wouldn't it?
Should be.
Report that the 19 might have gotten into the back of the 96. There's Harvick back out on the track. And Raines to his pit stall. We'll have to wait for the pace car here to lasso the field and see how it pans out.
Oh, man. Tony Raines was way up high driving across the racetrack. I don't know what he was thinking on that one.
I don't know either, man. I'm with you.
Take a quick break, come back to Michigan. Our pit news is presented by Subway Restaurants. Martin Truex Jr., the race leader, on and off of pit road, Ralph.
Dale, they didn't want to make any changes to this car. They're very happy with the handling on it. They just took 4 tires and fuel. Now, he did say that he had been running without the brake fans, and when he turned them on, the car got a little bit tighter, but he thinks he's going to be okay with that.
DEI was running 1, 2, 3. Marty.
Jeff Gordon will take advantage of this Weber with 4 tires and down 2 rounds on the track bar because Jeff said the car is extremely loose right now. So they're going to go down 2 rounds trying to secure the back end of that race car just a little bit more, Bill.
Thanks, Marty. Well, Truex pitted as the race leader under this caution. When they restart, he'll be the leader, but probably not in front of everybody. Explain when we come back. NASCAR Nextel Cup Racing from the Michigan International Speedway is brought to you by Sprint. NASCAR Nextel Cup fans, get things done with Nextel. By Toyota, moving forward. By Pepsi Racing. Visit PepsiRacing.com and link to play Pepsi Fantasy Racing for free today. And by Allstate, the official insurance sponsor of NASCAR. Still under caution here in Michigan. Go to NASCAR.com and get Track Pass to see the same inside angles on every driver all race long. Track Pass at NASCAR.com. That's a cool little video game, isn't it?
Does Motorhomes have it?
That's my motorhome, the one on the left right there.
You have that?
Yeah, that was good. That was a cool shot.
Larry, what are you working on?
Well, I'm working my calculator, if you can believe that.
Boy.
And
Already?
as we know, we have 82 laps to go. Let's go back to the top of the show. The race analysis showed that these guys can run about 38 to 42 laps on a tank of fuel. One thing I noticed, you saw Jeff Gordon come to pit road. Not only did they make adjustments, but they made sure that car was full of fuel. Casey Mears, who had pitted under green, all they did, Darian Grubb, was top that thing off fuel. They're trying to make it where this thing is now a one-stop race somewhere up around lap 160.
Thanks, Larry. See how that plays out.
Looks like Jeff Gordon may be coming back down pit lane.
Marty, you been listening to them?
Yeah, Bill, I have been listening to them, and Gordon said his car was just extremely loose on the racetrack, and I believe we actually have radio conversation between Jeff Gordon and Steve Letarte.
Hey, man, we've got to tighten this thing up.
Does it change direction in the middle, or does it ever get tight? I guess my question. I know it's real loose in. When it gets to the middle, does it get tight?
Right now, I can't even turn the wheel. The back end just turns itself until I get it pointed straight off. Then I drive straight off, okay, but I can't carry any speed or turn the wheel. It'll spin out. I can't get in there and get on the gas early because it'll spin out. I got to be pointed straight.
I get that track bar down, guys. 2 rounds.
And that was exactly the adjustment they made. They went down 2 rounds on the track bar, and as we talked about, they came back down pit road because they were 1 lap short, as Larry Mack talked about, from making this a one-stop race. So Jeff Gordon playing the strategy once again, and Bill, we know that certainly paid off for them last week at Pocono, didn't it?
Yeah, but you know, I mean, it sounds like, well, there is some urgency in his voice. I mean, you're running 200 miles per hour into these corners, and what he's saying is, I can't turn the wheel. When he gets to the corner, when he wants to turn the wheel normally, the car will be sideways. It'll spin out. So they've got to do something to make it to where he can pull on that steering wheel when he gets to the corner.
80 to go here. 80 to go, man. Long time. Just keep working with us. I'm going to try and make it better.
And you heard him talk track bar. They lowered that track bar. What that does, that changes the rear steer of the car in a lot of cases and how it loads the rear spring. And that's why Steve Letarte's question was, is it pushing in the middle? Does it rotate in the middle? That was the question, because he knew he could lower the track bar and not hurt the car in the middle of the corner.
Jimmy Johnson is the race leader. There are a handful of cars on the tail end of the lead lap right in front of him. David Gilliland would be the last of those cars in the 38 M&M's ride. And because Johnson and those guys were so quick out on the racetrack, they actually were able to hang on to the lead.
And this is where it can get ugly. If you're in Jimmy Johnson's situation, you've really got to be patient and let this stuff sort out in front of you, because a lot of times you'll see the wreck happen in front of you when we're in a situation like this.
Truex Jr. restarted 9th, Earnhardt Jr. in 10th. An update from Matt.
And Bill, a lot of traffic on the 48 radio. Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus debated the exact same move that their teammate Jeff Gordon did, but they felt like with only 6 laps on their tires and where they would be in traffic, they'd be better off going with their game plan, just trying to get themselves back up in the front in a safer position with clean air.
Man, did you see that 2-car cut? That was a move.
I would like to think that the 2-car knew that the 18 was there, but he didn't have a clue when he turned left.
He saw that jamming up in front of him. He saw this hole, and he just turned that wheel to the left. And I mean, woo, it doesn't get much closer than that.
Okay. Oh my God, this is like, okay, here I am. I'm going down in the corner. I'm making my move. I get back in the gas. I'm looking good. Oh my goodness, I'm coming up on my exit. I got to get to my exit. What's this? And that doesn't look bad because you don't see the car.
He needs the bumper cam.
You don't see the you need the bumper cam. You don't see the car that's up his rear end as he comes up off that corner right there.
Kurt Busch is in 2nd position right now,
behind Jimmy Johnson. Carl Edwards scored 3rd, then Tony Stewart and Kyle Busch. There are 24 cars currently on the lead lap, but Johnson's going to knock a bunch of those off at this pace. Here comes Edwards in the 99.
That's the angle I'd like to see when we back across the nose of that 18 right there.
Carl Edwards dives down inside looking for his exit.
2 things happened on that move right there with Carl. Number 1, the 2-car comes up off of turn 4, and he has to pinch the car to hold it down below the 13. And unlike a lot of places we run, this still has that old-style type draft to it. If you get 2 cars running, side by side like that, you can come up on them, and the closure rate is incredible. You see him just sweep across the back of him because there's really nothing to stop his car from going forward, and he gets that little bit of a jump out in there.
Okay, this is Kurt Busch looking off the rear bumper.
Yeah, he's just going to sweep across, and like Kyle said, he's going to take advantage of that draft, and you can see how it propels that car past those 2 cars that are running side by side.
Yeah, no matter how fast we tried to move that camera, it can't keep up. That's how fast he's able to come up on the car and make his move.
There's the race leader, Jimmy Johnson. Denny Hamlin is just a fraction of a second in front of him in the 20th position after that 32nd pit stop. 28 and change, actually. That extremely long pit stop after the car fell off the jack. Jeff Burton in that 31 car just ahead would be the next car to be knocked off the lead lap. It's Tony Stewart in the 20, Kyle Busch in the 5. That's for position. And this is for the lead. Carl Edwards runs second. Gilliland is trying to stay on the lead lap in that 38 machine.
Yeah, he got in front of Jimmy Johnson.
Now Johnson goes back by.
Carl Edwards trying to make it 3 wide. This is for the lead. Gilliland gets between them. Boy, Carl lost a lot of momentum there, didn't he?
Well, that's where that draft comes in. I mean, Gilliland popped up behind the 48, and those two cars are a lot quicker than one car.
More on Carl from Lindsay.
Bill, he may have lost a little bit of momentum there, but he's being silent on the radio. In fact, crew chief Bob Osborne is saying, don't overdo it, buddy. You got to get up there and, take your time, be patient. Carl had said that to get a win here in Michigan would be bragging rights. What's he mean by that, guys?
That's a manufacturer's thing.
Yep, exactly right.
That's a manufacturer's thing right there. Carl can brag anytime he wants to, the way he runs most places.
No, I see Tony Stewart. Tony Stewart just put his hand out the window like, come on, Martin. For some reason, he's not happy with Martin. I mean, this is for position, but
you get so, and here we are back for the lead. But you see Carl's car pushes up a little bit, and he has to ease out of it. And you lose 3 or 4 positions right there.
We'll get them. They're going nowhere. We will get them.
That's Carl's spotter, but look how much room he lost. He was up to the door number almost coming out of turn 2, and by the time you get to the end of the backstretch, you're 5 or 6 car lengths back.
You talk about a guy racing hard. David Gilliland really driving that car.
David's in position right now where he can either A, make my lap back, or B, be the lucky dog. So he's in the prime position. Once the 48 car goes up there and passes a couple of more cars, he gets knocked out of that position.
You left out C, be the next caution.
That's true.
Jimmy Johnson is the race leader. Carl Edwards challenging for the lead at Michigan. .132 laps are complete in the Citizens Bank 400 on TNT, and Carl Edwards is the new race leader. And this was fun to watch. Raced Jimmy Johnson hard and then got the lead away. So Carl Edwards goes to the lead. Jimmy Johnson runs second. Then it's Kurt Busch, Martin Truex Jr., and Tony Stewart, the top 5. Time for our Aflac trivia question. Which active driver currently has the most starts at Michigan? Come on. Come on, guys.
Active like right now today?
Active in the series. Yeah, you knew, didn't you? Very good. I didn't think you'd catch that. Very good. Kyle Petty. Our Aflac trivia question. KP with 51 starts here. And Aflac is going racing with Roush Fenway Racing later this year. 4 Cup races. And 4 Busch races. Greg Biffle will debut the Duck on his hood at New Hampshire in a couple of weeks. There's his teammate, Carl Edwards, out front, about to put Jeff Burton the lap down. That would leave 20 cars on the lead lap. 66 laps to go at Michigan, and Carl is out front. TNT Sports at the Michigan International Speedway. 138 laps are complete. Carl Edwards is the race leader. There are 19 cars on the lead lap. Matt Kenseth and Juan Pablo Montoya are done for the day after contact in separate incidents on the racetrack. Time to take you through the field. Start with Carl. Here's Lindsay.
Bill, Carl Edwards right now is right where he wants to be, right out front. That last stop they had put them in a good position for fuel mileage. And I want to point out something else special in their pit, because his pit runner, Tom, is the man that you guys have met before. He has a beard that he has not shaved since Carl had his last win. That was November 6th of last year. So if
Jimmy says the car is just too free. He's lost almost all of his rear grip. They're going to pit in about another 10 laps. Ralph?
Matt, Martin Truex is driving chassis number 053. Same car he ran at Pocono. He finished third there. He's running third here today, and he's closing in on the lead pair, Marty.
Well, Ralph, Kurt Busch is hanging in there in the fourth position with a race car that's a little bit loose. Coaching him over the radio, Roger Penske, certainly a father figure to many in the garage area, helping especially with his entry going into the corner right now. Kurt turning some pretty fast lap times, Matt.
And Tony Stewart runs in the fifth position. He says the last change he made did not help the front of the race car. In fact, it unhooked the back. Now, what he really needs is some rear grip on their next stop. Marty.
Casey Mears having a very nice, solid top 10 run today, Matt. His dad, Roger Mears, drives his coach to every race, wherever he goes. Roger ran some Craftsman Truck Series races early in his career with a borrowed number from Rick Hendrick. The number 25. Matt?
Right behind Marty is his teammate, Kyle Busch, in the 5. Kyle, a few moments ago, came on the radio and said, guys, I can really drift this car down in turns 1 and 2. Please tighten me up on our next stop. Ralphie?
Dave Blaney has gotten as high as 7th here today. His career best at Michigan is 6th. He has slipped back now to 8th. The front end has started to slide. The back end sliding off as well. He's struggling with grip, Matt.
What a recovery route for Kevin Harvick in the 29 car who runs 9. Back on lap 77, he flat spotted his tires, made several stops for repairs, and he has worked himself back into the top 10. He says his biggest issue, I am loose everywhere, mainly on exit. Lindsay?
Matt, right behind Kevin Harvick is Michael Waltrip, who suddenly is feeling very comfortable running the high line. On the last stop, they made an air pressure change, and they said it really helped. He wants a little bit of track bar change on the next stop, but right now they're very happy. And right behind him is the 26 car of Jamie McMurray. Jamie started 35th, has moved all the way up to 11th, and this on a day when Jamie McMurray is not feeling very well at all. To the booth.
Thanks, Lindsay. Denny Hamlin is in the 20th spot. There you see him fighting to hang on to the lead lap against the race leader, Carl Edwards. Coming up on Pit Stop, step away, we'll come back. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. Doesn't end when the race is over. Go behind the scenes of this week's race production and see what other fans are saying about Junior and Kyle Busch. And check out the new Track Pass with Nextel Race View only at NASCAR. Carl Edwards, the race leader. He's knocked Denny Hamlin off the lead lap. That leaves 19 cars on the lead lap. Martin Truex Jr. is up to second. Kurt Busch in the 2, Tony Stewart in the 20. That's for 4th.
And there you see two totally different lines, but this is where this bottom guy normally loses his momentum when you come off the 4, because when you're on the bottom, you can't let that car drift to the wall. And that's where the guy on the top has the momentum and usually can pull off a pass.
But we keep hearing these drivers talk about, I can't go with the gas, I'm not comfortable. Sometimes just being on the bottom of the racetrack and being able to ease back into the gas and then go full throttle at a lower angle gives you a comfort feel. So Kurt may just be more comfortable running the bottom. He's throwing away the lap times right now because he's not capable of running what those other guys are. Maybe he's just throwing it away a little bit.
We were led to believe Matt Kenseth was done for the day. That's not the case. He's back out on the track. His last DNF came at Martinsville in 2006, 45 races ago. There's Matt. Looks like he's headed back for pit road. Jimmy Johnson is on pit road, headed for his pit stall. 51 laps to go, Matt.
51 and counting. Mike Trower up on the wall. The front tire changing, waiting for Jimmy to hit the box. Again, slides to a stop. They're going to make a slight chassis judgment. Rich Gutierrez on the left side of the car. Ron Malik also digital track bar adjustment as well to try to tighten up Jimmy. A little more at the beginning of this run, losing the back end of the race car. He is away. Good stop.
Crew Chief Chad Canals watching his driver, the defending series champion, pulling off of pit road. There's race leader Carl Edwards. looking for his win since 2005. And he's put Clint Boyer a lap down, leaving 17 cars on the lead lap.
Now, according to Larry's calculator, he's going to have to stop again.
Well, let's find out, Larry.
Yeah, Bill, I mean, there is no question. The 48 car will have to stop again. I think a lot of these guys can actually make it on making this next pit stop. Now, we've been talking about the track bar. That's not where Marty Snyder hangs out, where you can't find him. What it is part of the suspension here, and what you'll do, Steve Letarte did with Jeff Gordon, they'll go through the back window, and they'll run the track bar down, and that lowers this point right here, which will help tighten the car up. Now, one thing that Kyle and Wally has pointed out, they've not seen a lot of adjustments by the teams through the back window by making chassis adjustments like this, which change the height and rate of the spring. But I think what we have been seeing that you won't see on a pit stop, because remember, the tire is the spring too. These guys will make air pressure adjustments, and 1 pound of air change in this tire can change the rate of this tire almost 20 pounds. And the good thing about changing air pressure versus this will not take a chance of slowing your pit stop down. I think we'll see a lot of that on this last stop, because, guys, it's getting hotter.
All right, go get your calculator, okay?
You got it.
Did he fire one across Marty's bow there?
Nice one.
That was good. And like Larry says, we hear so much of these guys talk about loose and tight and all this stuff. The air pressure adjustment is a very subtle adjustment. Even though it's 20 pounds, it's a very subtle adjustment to the attitude of the car. It doesn't lower the right rear, it doesn't raise the right rear, it doesn't lower the left front or raise the left front.
Ralph.
Well, the 22 is in. Remember, they've been fighting getting grip into this car, so they're going to make some adjustments to it. Looks like they're going to do that all with air pressure and try to get Dave Blaney back out and see if he can improve on his career best 6th place finish here.
And before that, we saw how much new tires will help you when Jimmy Johnson roared past Carl Edwards. Kurt Busch now on pit road. Coming to you, Marty.
Yeah, Kurt's been battling a loose race car for much of this run. As I said, been working with Roger Penske. This pit stop, though, will leave them just a little bit short, as Larry Mack's calculator would tell us. We're making it all the way on fuel. That's something Kurt did ask. He comes to the stall, tries to go coast in as best as he can. It'll be 4 tires, and once again, no changes to the chassis. They asked Kurt, what do you want to do to the chassis on the radio? He said, I can't think of what we can do, even though those guys are a little bit faster than us. 4 tires, and yet another quick stop for the 2-bunch.
Sometimes you're afraid to make a change.
Right, because you don't want
to go the wrong way. You know, I'm out there running. I see everybody else. They're all out of control. I know I'm out of control and holding my breath, and I'm thinking, my God, I don't want to make a change and get worse. I can stay where I'm at and be safe.
Matt, here comes Kyle Busch.
And Busch on his way to his pit box as well. Now Busch was saying, whatever you do, please tighten me up. You can see they've got the wedge wrench in the back window. They make a track bar adjustment. Air pressure adjustment as well for Kurt Busch. 11-12 seconds. 14.8 seconds for Kyle Busch.
55 miles per hour, the pit road speed. Kyle returns to the track. The hotter it is, the more slick it is, the more likely you are to want to be tightened up all day?
No, it just depends on which way your car's going.
Okay.
I mean, it really does. I mean, if you start off tight, it's just normally it'll just get a lot worse. So.
Okay.
And there is a difference in being tight and having grip. Okay, you can be tight, and what I mean by that is the front doesn't have grip and you're just sliding, but you got plenty of rear grip. These guys are talking about not having a lot of rear grip at the same time they're talking about being loose. They're fighting 2 issues, grip and looseness.
Matt.
And another RCR car, Clint Boyer making his way down pit road. Boyer, his car just tight all day long. They've not been able to get it. The slides at an angle in his pit box. Going to try another chassis adjustment to find that balance for Clint Boyer. Another one of those drivers trying to score his first Nextel Cup Series win. Came close here last year. He's away.
Smokes him. And heads back out. Here comes your race leader and your second place car, Martin Truex Jr. Now, we talked about a driver had won their first race and never won the next race. Well, a driver has won their first career race and then won 2 races later 4 different times. The last time was Davey Allison in 1987, Talladega, then Dover.
No, you're seated. You're seated, Carl. The apron in front of you. You're clear of here.
Carl Edwards is going to duck down and get some service on his car. Martin Truex is going to stay out there. And I'll tell you what, Kyle, he's right there at that border where maybe he can make it on one more stop, and that would be big.
Lindsay.
Carl Edwards wants his car freed up a little bit, so they're going to, of course, give him the proper adjustment. They will give him 4 tires. And, guys, if you think about this, he made his first start here, 100 races ago. He finished 10th. How ironic if he could get his first win of the season today. Ralph?
Well, Lindsay, this time they're pitting the 11, and they're hoping to keep the car on the jacks this time. They come around to the left side where it fell off the jacks the last time. Everything looks pretty smooth. They're just going to make air pressure adjustments, and away he goes, Matt.
Tony Stewart last pitted on lap 113. At this juncture, they can go all the way in the distance. Kevin Harvick pulls in right in front of Tony Stewart, gives him a clean tear-off on the windshield. Air pressure change for Harvick. Stewart's away. This race car, he scored his first ever fuel mileage win back at Kansas. Well, they're hoping to do it again today, Ralph.
Martin Truex makes his way into his pit box. The crew goes over the wall. They were talking to him about his lap times. They said, buddy, they're killer. What are you doing? Oh, never mind. Don't tell us. Just keep doing it. Minor adjustments to the car here, Marty. They're very happy with the one.
Well, Ralph, we told you 2 minutes earlier in the show, 2 minutes into our conference call on Tuesday, Larry Mack started talking fuel mileage. Here it is Sunday afternoon, paying off. Casey Mears coming to pit road. He will visit his team right here. They are right on the edge of being able to make it all the way. Casey said the car is excellent, and they think they can make it all the way. They're hoping at least they can make it all the way, Ralph.
Well, Marty, the A car is doing the same thing on fuel mileage. They've sharpened up the pencil pretty good. They think they might be able to go all the way as well. Their bigger problem, however, is they're having communication gap. They're not so sure, Marty, that Dale Jr. is hearing everything they're saying to him.
Jeff Gordon is still loose. They put a round of wedge in the left rear, but being loose helps you save on fuel mileage sometimes. Steve Letarte radioed that to Jeff. Do you think us being loose is helping us? Jeff said, if you're talking about saving fuel, I would say yes. They think the 24 can make it the rest of the way on fuel.
These teams are right on the edge of the fuel window. Told you before the race, about 38 to 42 laps. There are 40 laps to go right now here at Michigan. Lindsay?
The 55 of Michael Waltrip. We told you he was finally getting comfortable, finally able to drive up around that high line. He will come in. They wanted to wait a little bit. They decided to tighten him up a bit and give him 4 tires. Bill?
There is your race leader, Jimmy Johnson, out front in Michigan. Will it come down to fuel mileage? We'll have to play it out here and see. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. Carl Edwards is chasing Jimmy Johnson for the race lead here at Michigan with 36 laps to go. Johnson in the 48. Carl Edwards.
That was to Almendinger.
Yeah, that was to the 84 car. The 84 car got a good run on him. He thought he was cleared the 84 car coming out of 2, and the 84 car just drove back by him down the backstretch.
This is for the lead. Carl Edwards on the high side of Jimmy Johnson.
Wow.
Recaptures the lead with 35 to go.
He just powered around.
He made that look pretty easy.
Yeah, he is strong right there.
Marty, what's up with Kurt?
Well, you guys talked about you had to hit everything right on this last stop. Kurt Busch running 4th, has to get that up. Could be a loose lug nut. He said every time he went into the corner and hit the brake, it was a big vibration. 4 tires, and hopefully all the lug's tight this time, Matt.
At this point, Jimmy Johnson was told by Chad Knaus, all we need is a caution, and we are good to go on fuel. And then about 5 seconds before he gave up the lead to the 99 of Edwards, he says, you need to save me fuel. Hence, dropping back and going into fuel conservation mode.
He really has to save him a lot, doesn't he, Matt?
Matt doesn't know. He thinks he knows.
Yeah, I would think he would. But the one thing, and Larry can speak to this more than probably I can, because you don't notice this. You start off on fresh tires and you're running 40-90s, 41-20s. By the end of the run, you're running 42-40s, 42-50s. losing that second on the racetrack automatically saves you some fuel because you're not able to go to the gas as hard. You're feathering into it. You're easing out of it earlier. So naturally, I wonder if and Larry could probably ask this if he goes to his calculator, have the fuel stops grown longer, or has the fuel mileage gotten better as we've gone through the day just because of slower lap times?
Time for a pit summary brought to you by NASCAR Hot Pass, only on DirecTV. There's Martin Truex Jr. Runs in the 3rd spot. Now let's go back and look at his most recent pit stop. And again, as we've said, you want to be perfect here. Watch the right front tire changer. Hits all the lugs and then goes around and has to hit at least one a second time.
And that may have been a second.
And then he goes back out on the track, and look how close this is.
That's just pressing right there. He is just pressing to make up whatever time he feels like they may have lost on pit road, and what ground he lost early in the race. He's driven from the back to the front on a couple of occasions in this race.
And he's only 2.5 seconds behind, but there are just 32 laps to go. Lose a second in the pits, you can't make it up on the track. Our Nextel race view, you can see it at NASCAR.com. But you go for a ride with any car you want to pick. Right now, Carl Edwards is the race leader. Jimmy Johnson runs 2nd. Martin Truex Jr. 3rd. Tony Stewart 4th. Casey Mears is 5th. Well, it could come down to fuel mileage here. Let's see what some of these teams are thinking. Lindsay?
Bill, it's going to be a good fight, but I'll tell you what, I just asked crew chief Bob Osborne. He looked at me and he said, yes, we are good to go. I thought that they might come to a point where they would be about 2 or 3 less than they needed, but he said, no, we can handle it from here. Ralph?
Oh, the 1 car's good, Lindsay. He's very good on fuel, and he's very fast, picking up 4 to 5 tenths a second per lap. Matt?
Jimmy Johnson has dropped back to 3rd, still trying to save as much fuel as he possibly can. At this juncture, probably around 2 laps short on fuel. Meanwhile, the 20 of Tony Stewart, they are good to go to the distance. Marty.
Just talked to Darian Grubb, crew chief for Casey Mears. He said they are close. I said close enough to go for it. He said absolutely. Remember, this team won Charlotte on fuel mileage. The car they won with that day, same one they're driving today. Matt or Ralph?
Dale Earnhardt Jr. running back in 7th position in car number 8. He's good on fuel, but he's got a bit of a ways to go right now to catch the guys in front of him.
There you see Junior 21 seconds behind the race leader. Carl Edwards' longest run today is 45 laps. He last pitted on lap 158. That means he'd have to go 42. Jimmy Johnson's longest run between pit stops today, 41 laps. He stopped with 51 to go. Here's our Miller Lite race fact. Carl Edwards finished 2nd at Michigan last August. Made his debut here as well. And Carl looking for his first win in 52 races. He's out front right now by almost 2 seconds over Martin Truex Jr. The fuel mileage game playing out at Michigan. 21 laps to go here at Michigan. Carl Edwards is the race leader, but Martin Truex Jr. in that 1 car is charging.
Yeah, he is making ground. Now, let's see, that time by, Carl Edwards was a little bit quicker, but I'll tell you what, to me, I think if the 1 car gets any clean air, he's a bunch faster than Carl. It seems like when the 1 gets around another car, he struggles. Now we'll see if he can run the 99 down now that he's got by Stroman.
And when the 1 car can run his groove, which is 3 inches off the wall, it appears to be, he makes really good time. He's had to pass some lap traffic. You saw Sterling. Sterling knew he was running a high line, so Sterling went low and let him go around through 3 and 4. Other guys have forced Truex to go to the bottom, which slows him down.
Jimmy Johnson runs 3rd. He's about 4 seconds behind the race leader. Larry?
Well, here's the deal with Jimmy Johnson in that 48 car. He's not racing Carl Edwards. He's not racing Martin Truex Jr. With 20 to go, he's racing the fuel. But here's the thing. For the big picture, he has has an 11-second lead over fourth-place Tony Stewart. So what they need to do is slow him down right now. Watch that lead over Tony Stewart and see if he can make it. But I will say this, he's going to have to run 7 laps further than anybody in the garage area told me they could run this for him.
And what does that tell you?
That tells me they probably hit pit road a little too soon a while ago.
Yeah, that's, 7 laps farther at this place. That's 14 miles.
That ain't going to happen. You ain't saving that much fuel, Larry. You can ask me, but I don't think I can do it.
I can't pedal that good. And I'm not sure anybody can. Unless they've just miscalculated their fuel all day long and they've got something totally different than everybody else. That's phenomenal to even think that.
That's 16 of Greg Biffle, well off the pace this afternoon. Larry, you got some more?
Yeah, here's the thing I want to say, guy. You might as well go for it, because you know what? If you come to pit road and you top off, you're going to go well off the lead lap. And right now, I've been watching it, and he's been running a half a second to 3/4 of a second slower than those other guys. And right now, he has stretched it out to almost 12 seconds over Tony Stewart. Shorten the racetrack up, slow the pace down, maybe you'll make it.
Now, I agree with you 100%. When you're that far off, you may as well just run as hard as you can, and because if you got to stop, I mean, you're not going to save that much fuel, and if you got to stop, you're out of luck. So, race it.
Edwards now with Martin Truex Jr. really closing in.
But you saw the 13 car. Traffic played into that right there, where they run up on the 13 car.
More on the one from Ralph.
Martin Truex Sr. standing, I should say, high up in the pit box, watching his son closing in on leader Carl Edwards here at Michigan. Martin told me earlier this week that he never really realized how much sacrifice his father had made before he got into NASCAR's Nextel Cup division, just to get his son racing, to make a name for him. And now that he's here, Martin would love nothing more on this Father's Day than to deliver his dad a victory in person.
And even if he doesn't, it's another strong run for Truex and another big day for him and his guys at DEI. It's Edwards, Truex, Johnson, Stewart, and Mears in the closing laps at Michigan. 12 laps to go at the Michigan International Speedway. Carl Edwards has not won in 52 races, but he's out front in the closing laps this afternoon. Time for our Nextel Getting It Done call of the race. This is where our two experts call the car they believe is going to win. So, Wally Dallenbach, Kyle Petty, time for the Nextel call of the race.
I agree with Wally.
And I was going to ask Larry, because you said experts. So, and I'm going to go with this guy right here, the #1 car. I mean, these guys have been on it all day. They've been to the front, to the back. They got sideways and the back stretch, tore the car up a little bit. Now he's in second. I'm a little bit surprised right here. I don't know if Carl just stepped it up when he saw that one car behind him, or all of a sudden Truex has got some issues because he's following somebody.
Yeah, I'm surprised also.
So, all of a sudden, it's just like he hit a brick wall.
Yeah, I'm surprised. He went up there and got on his bumper and then hadn't been able to do anything with him. But the call of the race is still, like you said, he's been back, front, sideways, backwards. He's been everywhere. 2 tires, 4 tires. He's done it all today and still recovered from it.
Hang on a second. I got McReynolds on speed dial here. Larry?
All right, guys, I'm going to go with 2 race teams. I'm going to go with the 8 team, and I'm going to go with the 5 team. 2 teams that were heavily affected by an announcement in the middle of the week, and there they are sitting there running 6th and 7th with 2 drivers they know they will not be working with at the end of this season.
Good job, Larry.
That's a good call. That's a different way of looking at it.
All right. Ralph, what are you up to?
Well, the problem for Martin Truex Jr. is he just brushed the wall. That's where he lost a ton of time. The car's been getting tighter. Brushing the wall just made it even worse. He was better in 3 and 4 than Edwards and only losing speed off of turn 2. And in fact, he was picking up 100th or so each and every lap. He's found his rhythm again. He's starting to close in, but just does he have enough time, or the laps running out? Lindsay?
Ralph, and you're talking about him rushing up against the wall. That's what this 99 crew knows. Maybe helps them out a little bit. Carl Edwards can't go the remainder of the way on the fuel he has. And right now, I'm standing in his pit box. You can see up on the pit box is Jack Roush, of course, owner of the team, talking to Bob Osborne, his crew chief. And, of course, the man that you did see there was Tom, the man that will shave his beard if Carl Edwards wins this race. Because, of course, as we told you, he hasn't won since November 6th, 2005. So you can bet that Tom, the pit runner, is going to go grab that razor and head on to victory lane.
Now, about that saving fuel thing for the 48 car. Couldn't make up those 7 laps. Boy, he's really slow.
He may have run out of gas.
Be nice and smooth on pit road, Jimmy. Do not try to start it until we plug it in. Do not try.
And now he has no tack, right? Matt?
Bill, Jimmy Johnson cannot believe it. He is out of fuel. Unbelievable. Trying to make his way down. Like you mentioned, the car is silent. No tachometer. Now trying to not make his day any worse. But they are going to have to put in some fuel. Lap 193. Count this on the day for Jimmy Johnson. He was running third. Remember we told you they're at least 2 laps short. They needed that caution. They never got it. The car now refired. Rich Gutierrez going to put a little more fuel in. Boy, what a tough break for Jimmy Johnson's 48. What a great car today.
You got fuel pressure?
You hear him say you got fuel pressure. Squirting some gas down there. Look, Jimmy Johnson may not believe it. They may not believe it. But we sat here and talked earlier. 7 laps, 14 miles. When he come down pit road, look at the scoreboard over there. It was 192, 93 laps, 7 laps short. Larry called it. Everybody else knew that it was going to happen. There's no way you can pedal that car and save that much fuel.
And that graphic is basically just a calculation done mathematically, but we talked about the long runs Carl has made today, and Lindsay said that they believe they're good to make it to the finish. And there you see the stats she was talking about. 52 races. 52 races ago. Had 4 wins in 2005, winless last season.
You heard the spotter say, David knows you're coming. We want the high side. What he's saying is that's David Reagan in front of him, and they've already talked team-wise to give him the high side. That's where Carl wants to run, as you see the 48 car go by him.
The 6 and the 99 teammates. What's Martin up to, Ralph?
Well, they switched it to defensive mode now, Bill. All they're going to do, when he brushed that wall, he got out of his rhythm. The car just has not gone back to the same. So they're just going to hope that maybe something goes wrong in the fuel side of this story for the 99 car. They keep telling Martin, forget about it. Nothing you can do about it now. Just watch the fuel, and let's hope that something goes wrong with the 99.
So Truex runs second. Tony Stewart started 41st today. Had a major incident in the closing laps of happy hour here on Saturday. Has worked his way to the 3rd spot. Outstanding day for Tony and his guys on pit road. And in the 4th spot, Casey Mears. Got his first NASCAR Nextel Cup victory at Charlotte with Coca-Cola 600. And he did it with fuel mileage. Another strong run for Mears. See how it ends up. Inside of 4 to go.
He did it with fuel mileage, but he also was running good, like he is here. Right. I mean, he's been a front runner, and he was in that position to do that.
At Charlotte, he was a top 5 car all day long. He just made good calls. They made good calls. He drove the car great. The same thing here today. He's been up there in the top 5 or 6 all day long.
Edwards' dad, Mike, raced modifieds and midgets to more than 200 victories. Carl gives his mother, Nancy Sterling, a tremendous amount of credit for getting him to where he's at today. She's really supported him in his racing career. Got off to the fantastic
start. He's had a bad day, man. He's been in the way all day. Clear of him, Carl. 2 laps, buddy. 2. Dig it, buddy. Keep being smart here. 74. Just keep being smart.
That's the distance from 1st to 2nd. Truex running second. Currently 10 cars scored on the lead lap, and we will tell you the 10th place car is Michael Waltrip. See the running order on the crawl at the top of the screen. Truex runs second. He's about 3.5 seconds behind Carl Edwards. There's Edwards in the 99. Knocks Michael off the lead lap.
White flag.
Last lap for Carl Edwards at Michigan.
One lap. Be cautious. Be safe. You got plenty of room, Pony.
In 2005, he had 4 wins, finished 3rd in the chase. Last year, he struggled almost the entire season, never found his way to victory lane. Just after Memorial Day, he spent a day on the USS Enterprise with over 5,500 sailors. Signed autographs for an hour, got to launch F-18s off the deck. He said they inspired him. Carl Edwards off of 4, and after 52 races without a victory, Carl Edwards wins at Michigan.
It's over. It's over. I'm looking at the flags. Good job, Carl. Way to be the man, bud. Way to be focused when we were down there. You were perfect, man. That was awesome.
That's good stuff. After that long, is it really over? Have I really won this thing? And that shows you how hard these guys have tried to get back to victory lane.
5th career win.
That's a good one.
5th career win for Carl Edwards in his 100th start, and it comes on Father's Day. To Lindsay Zarniak.
And Bill, we just heard Carl over the radio say, is it really over? Bob, how good is this for you to see him getting a win? It's been a year and a half.
Oh, it's been a long time. It's been a long time for both of us. I know he's been dying to get back in the winner's circle. He's extremely competitive, awesome race car driver. I can't say enough. He did a great job with the Office Depot Ford Fusion today. So, Carl Edwards, man, I'd go into battle with him any day.
And about this team chemistry, after all the struggles, you guys have really pulled together.
Yeah, we struggled a lot early on. My hat's off to these boys. They've come full circle, and I can't say enough about them. They're the best on pit road right now, I believe.
Bob Osborne, so excited, he's almost speechless. Bill?
2nd win for Ford in 2007. Kenseth got him one at California. 30th win for Ford at Michigan. It's Jack Roush's 16th NASCAR win here at Michigan. Carl Edwards with the win and the flip, and we'll take you to Victory Lane next on TNT. Victory Lane, his first Nextel Cup start came here, and now he's a Michigan winner. Matt Yoakum is there.
And he's already done the backflip. Now he gets to celebrate with the beverages with his teammates. Bounces off the car. What is bigger, to end that year-and-a-half winless streak, do it in Motown, or the fact that your buddy over here is going to finally get to shape?
Yeah, Tom's going to get to shape. Man, Bob. Just got to thank Office Depot. This one's for my dad. I've been wanting to give my dad a trophy, and I love you, Dad. Happy Father's Day. My brother's racing tonight up in Omaha. Thank Coca-Cola, Jack Roush, Fenway Racing, Scott's.
It was a crazy day.
It was crazy, and I just got to thank the fans for sticking with us. We got a great team. This Office Depot Fusion team's great. Ford Motor Company, go test drive a Fusion. We had one 4 wheels off the ground this week. It was awesome. So
why don't you test drive some scissors, because your buddy has his scissors since November 2005. He may need a chainsaw, as your spotter Bobby Hudson told you. That thing is thick.
That's awesome. I just thanks everybody, Mike Mittler, just everybody. Discount Tire, Office Depot, like I said, they're unbelievable sponsors sticking with me, and the fans. It's unbelievable. And this one's for you, Dad. I just, he's the smartest racer I know, and I wanted to win a race for him so bad, and win it on Father's Day. And I got to hand it to Martin Truex. Talk about, I don't know if I can say what he's got on the air, but he's brave. Just to be running that high, he taught me something here.
Carl Edwards breaks the winless streak, and it's a special one on Father's Day. Ralph?
Well, Martin Truex Jr., you were running pretty hard to catch Carl Edwards, but the car got a little bit too tight on you. Is that what kept you from winning this race?
Well, that and the spin on lap 100 or whatever it was, getting spun on the backstretch there. Just had to use my car real hard coming through traffic, and I was having a hard time paying attention to exactly what I needed with my race car. I got a little too tight at the end, and I got to Carl. I was running a bunch faster than he was, and I got there within 8 or 10 car lengths, and it was like I hit a wall. So just got aero tight, couldn't really do much with him, but great day for us. Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet team did another awesome job. I think they were the best pit stops we've ever had on pit road, and it was an awesome race car, probably the best engine I ever had too. So guys are doing great, man, and I'm loving life right now.
That he should be, Marty.
Well, Dale Earnhardt Jr. just went down pit road to say congratulations to his buddy Martin Truex Jr. We're going to get out of the way of Tony Stewart's race car. I'll tell you what, middle part of the race you weren't very happy, but at the end you guys were pretty good. Kind of felt like a win today, didn't it?
Well, Martin did good. He did such a good job today. He had a great car in practice. That team, they found something. Might sneak over there in that
find out what it is.
That part of the garage, make sure they ain't keeping it from me. But I'm just kidding. We had a good car. We got real loose in the middle part of the race. Tony Gibson and the guys made the calls and adjustments to get the car back underneath me where we could go again at the end. We were as good as anybody at the end of the race. Just ran out, we got so far behind in the middle part of the race, I couldn't get, just ran out of laps. But 200's plenty. But, we just ran out of laps there.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. with a big 5th place finish today, Bill.
Thank you, Marty. What a ride.
What a ride. Well, I'd just like to say Happy Father's Day to my dad.
Yeah.
Everybody else getting a chance to do it. But good race. We knew it would be.
A lot of strategy in this race. There was a lot of strategy. It may not have been a lot on the racetrack, but there was a lot of strategy.
There you see the championship standings after 15 races in 2007. We head off to the road course at Sonoma. Kyle Petty, you go racing next week.
I'm going to miss you guys, man. I'll be talking to you.
We're going to be in your ear the whole time, buddy.
Just tell me how to do it.
Now.
Oh, wait a minute. You will tell me how to do it. Never mind.
That's our job. All right, let's go downstairs to Mark and Larry.
All right, thanks, guys. Great job, as always. And Larry Mack, we had everything in this race. We had strategy from the guys in the pits. We had driving on the course. We had the cutting of beards at the end of the race. Your final thoughts?
Well, we talked about it at the top of the show. This was a 76th race here, and it seems like it always comes down to strategy. And even though, as we spoke, this track has always favored Fords, we've had a season that has favored Chevrolets. Even though we had 6 Chevrolets chasing that 99 car, Roush Fenway Racing, they get their 10th here at Michigan, and I'm not sure Scissors will do it. I think it's going to take more like a weed whacker.
They're going to need a razor as well. Hey, 3 top 5s in the last 3 races for Martin Truex Jr. Got to congratulate him as well. And there it is. Take a look at the cut in the beard. That team feels pretty good right now.
Yeah, they still got a lot of work to do, and we might mention with that top 5 finish by Dale Earnhardt Jr., even with their 100-point penalty he received after Darlington, if you notice, when you looked at the points, he's up in the top 12, along with his teammate Martin Truex Jr.
All right, next week we're going to be in Sonoma, California, a little road racing for you, and certainly looking forward to having you back on TNT. NASCAR on TNT Live will get us started. 52 races without a win, and Carl Edwards finally gets one at the Michigan 400. For Kyle, Wally, Bill, Larry Mack, and the entire crew, I'm Mark Fine. Thanks for watching NASCAR on TNT.